Good afternoon, all, and welcome to another edition of the Sal Greco Show, and I'm your host, Sal Greco. Thank you all for tuning in. I see 92 Charlie, Hassan Mo, Terry Murnane, Hood Mayor, NYC, Lily, Matt O'Brien. Good afternoon to all of you guys. You're always here. Thank you very much for always showing support. It's been a wild last couple of days since the last time I was on. So, if you can, please, if you're watching on YouTube, we're the Finest Unfiltered. We just hit 50,000 subscribers. Shout out to all of you. Shout out to all the people that subscribe, watch all the content all the time. I salute you. We just hit over 50,000. That's double WABC Radio's subscriber count, and they have more than double the amount of videos on their channel. Very strange for people that claim to be the number one of anything. So, if you can, if you're watching there, please hit that like, share, subscribe button. Hit the notification bell as well. There it is. In fact, we're over 50,000. I see, hey, Tom Joyce in the room. Shout out to Tom. He's going to be on tonight with the 10-4 Tavern. He's a part of Finest Unfiltered. That's also a part with you, Tom, making it over 50,000. I mean, when we started, we had nothing, right? And when I came along, I think we had about 8,000 or something subscribers. So it's been quite a ride up, but it's pretty quick. But it's not rocket fuel. It's not rocket fuel. You got to earn that. If you're watching on Rumble, please hit that like button. Hit the Rumble button as well. And if you're listening or watching on X right now, streaming all over the world, hit that like button and please share this out to all your friends, especially those in that low information bubble. And boy, are there plenty of those going around. It's, Patrick Donahue, you mean Bo Tito's One Tough podcast isn't lining up the subscribers and likes. Yeah, Bo Dietl, there was one big fearmonger. Big fearmonger with, oh my God, Mamdani's going to be the mayor. But just to touch up on an entire subject, I want you to see what happened because I'm going to give my little breakdown on this because you heard it here first. Here's President Trump on Sunday talking about Zohran Mamdani.
The mayor of New York, I will say, would like to meet with us and we'll work something out. But he would like to come to Washington and meet, and we'll work something out. We want to see everything work out well for New York. The mayor.
Oh, so there is going to be a meeting. So like I had predicted, and that's the dog whistle to what? All the people, the sycophants, all these whatever Trump, when he says jump, they say how high. So then John Catsimatidis, the owner of WABC, who had his number one radio host call the mayor a terrorist, a jihadist, a Marxist every day. Remember that? Here he is. And look, you got Mr. Three Quarters. I don't know. They must have wheeled him into the studio on the left there. But let's hear John Catsimatidis.
He wants New York to be the greatest place in the world like it's always been. So he's going to do, he's going to do what he has to do. And, like he said, he's made peace with a lot of people that he had differences with in the past. So I believe they're going to be meeting, and let's see what happens. I can't speak for the president, other than the fact I can speak to him for one thing. He loves New York and wants New York to continue to be the greatest place in the world.
He wants New York. What he really means is he's worried about his business interests and he needs to meet with the mayor ASAP, like Bill Ackman did right away. So let's see what I have posted, right? Because I put up here when Mamdani reaches out to White House, and that's true. They're going to have a meeting. But here, look, and I wrote, I hate to gloat and say I told you so, but if you were suckered by the three-card Mamdani, get ready, because a certain radio host on that station soon who called Mamdani a terrorist will soon gloat about having him on as a guest because he's the mayor. Told you so. It's WWE. And you can see John McCarrier posted that, and it says that John Katz, who's the big protagonist against Mamdani, all of a sudden saying, all the conservatives, we need to work with Mamdani. I told you here just a few weeks ago, Trump, they're going to have a meeting. They're going to go to Mar-a-Lago, wherever it is, Mar-a-Lago, Trump Tower, wherever it is, the White House, wherever it is, they're going to have a meeting. That's the wink and a nod to John Catsimatidis, his whole staff that was bludgeoning Curtis Sliwa because it was always about destroying Curtis Sliwa's chances. They wanted either Cuomo or Mamdani. It didn't matter. It had to be a Democrat because that's who they all deal with. What happens right after that? Bill Ackman on election night's already saying, I'm going to meet with Mamdani. All of a sudden, he's not a terrorist. He's not a jihadist. Israel's now going to let him in because he's big with the, God forbid, something happens to Israel because Mamdani's the mayor of New York City. I don't even know how that works, but he was saying that. And I told you, John Katz is he's going to fall in line because it's a big plan. Remember, a week prior to this, John Katz had a meeting at the White House with President Trump, with Bill Ackman, and that was a week later that he endorsed Andrew Cuomo, who failed miserably and fell flat on his face. I told you that there's going to be a certain radio host who's going to come on. What's he going to say? Well, he's a jihadi, but he's not my jihadi. He's Trump's commie. So now he's my commie. I'm going to have him on my show today. I'm the #1 rated show. I'm going to have him on. Oh, you're going to see. And when he comes on, my best friend, there he is, the mayor. He comes on the #1 rated show. This is WWE, folks. And you fell for one of the biggest scams ever. You thought you were getting something different if you voted for Mamdani or Cuomo or Eric Adams. It's the same thing. And it will always in on the scheme. So I hope you stop listening to those West Coast, Midwestern influencers that were, I'd love to see their, how their bank accounts are looking, that put this nonsense out because you all got suckered and now you're going to pay the biggest price because New York City is going to be status quo continuing. It might even get worse because we're going to be discussing certain things, especially in the police department where there's all kinds of mishigas going on there. And yeah, here's Daniel Crescenia. He was, as you know, he's Curtis Sliwa's spokesperson. $100 million to stop Curtis instead of stopping Mamdani. These people think we are stupid. And now Katz wants to be the broker for the White House Mamdani meeting. Effing clown show. And I told you so. Sorry. I would hope that, I am going to make the assumption that the majority of people that are watching this right now, you're not low information. So you knew what I was saying is true. And now that you see everything more and more, you believed it. You're like, wow, And there's nothing, to go back, people still calling John McCarthy a Marxist, You got played. All of you. Every single one of you that call yourselves a Republican and you voted for Andrew Cuomo, go look in the mirror because you have no integrity. Zero. You buckle at the sight of anything that could go wrong, or if your deity tells you otherwise. Because, he's got a rocky road. He's got all kinds of problems. Maddrey Taylor Greene, he's bringing in H-1B1 visas now. It's a mess. It's a mess right now. But he told you to vote for Andrew Cuomo, and that's what you did. If you're going to lose, if you think you're going to lose with some goddamn dignity and pride. Saying, I went down, this is who we are. We're going to stand our ground, and we're going to face this as a team together, not jumping ship because some guy told you to do it. Who, by the way, his approval ratings as president are dropping by the day. I really hope this guy gets his act together. Okay, and you fell for it, and you contributed to this because again, by voting for Cuomo, he was never going to win. And even if you didn't have enough votes, Republicans need to stick together. That's the biggest problem because you didn't stick together with the Alvin Bragg race, right? A lot of stuff over there. Bill O'Reilly on Monday said President Trump has lost power over the American people during his second administration. I have to agree. I don't know what's going on, really. Daniel Crescenia says, again, Cuomo doesn't even live in New York City anymore since the election. Meanwhile, Curtis is still out there fighting. It's true. Trump says he's going to solve them. Okay, but the high cost of insurance is killing people, and there is no health care plan on the horizon. Food prices are coming down, most of them, and it was a smart move to knock the tariffs out for the food to try to get them down further, O'Reilly told viewers. I don't usually agree with Bill O'Reilly, who's another one that goes on that #1 rated show. But he is, when someone's right, I'm going to say he's right. He's right about what he's saying. I don't know. I really don't know what he's going through his head. And people voted for America first, make America great again. Are you really getting that right now? I don't know. And there's a lot of issues. Some things he's doing well, but when there's something bad, you gotta admit, you gotta point it out. Marlon says, "Yeah, you fell for it. America's already socialist. Wait till Trump introduces UBI." Yeah, but this election, you really did fall for it. You really did, and we told you so. So moving along, you guys, if you want to shop with a company that's all about supporting law enforcement and actually backing the rank and file, it's My Freedom Card. All right, you go to myfreedomcard.com/Sal Greco Show. Sign up there, or you could check out their products. Why would you go? Let's say you go and shop groceries. You go for grocery shopping, and you're there for like 35 minutes in the store, and you're buying from all these major companies, right? Versus someone like I use this stuff called Bona here, clean up in the house. This is a natural product, right? This stuff, the proceeds that that they get from selling their products, they go back and actually reinvest it into precincts, firehouses, sanitation departments. They fund things. This is a good company, and all I'm saying is, instead of going shopping and going and filling your car up, and you might have kids with you and they're running around, you could have them just delivered to your home. So I'm just saying, take a look at it. It's a very good company, and there's stuff which is, I'd say it's the equivalent of these other companies, but they definitely give the proceeds where it belongs. They definitely help out precincts, firehouses, sanitation departments. Like I said, they're very pro law enforcement. So check that out when you can. myfreedomcard.com/Sal Greco Show. And also, I don't get my news from the major search engines. Why? Because they're going to be biased, because it always has been. So what do? I go to Free Spoke. So let's hear from Free Spoke. I know you surf the internet and you search for things on the search engine and you don't get what you're looking for. Well, I have a solution for you, and that's Free Spoke. Free Spoke is a search engine that does everything without all the restrictions and all the censorship, and there's no porn ads. Free Spoke is about authenticity rather than agendas. Labels media bias, no intrusions or data leaks. No porn ads, like I said, unlimited, unbiased AI. Also, deep dive podcasting. You can look it up. Go to freespoke.app.link/Greco. Download the app. You could also use the same link to get 35% off the premium subscription, which would be well worth it. Try it out. freespoke.app.link/Greco. There you go, folks. If you go to Free Spoke, again, download the app. The promo code's Greco35. You get 35% off the subscription. And like I said, when you go to the news, you could put which way you want to lean. Is it middle, like moderate, right wing, or left wing? So everyone can get their preferences if you want to lean a certain way. But when you go to these other search engines, without mentioning big names, you'll see how biased the stuff really is. I mean, you could Google myself or John Macari or Eric Dim, you're going to see all negative stuff pop up first, which is, that it should actually go by what's the latest, but they don't even do that. But Free Spoke does. So you should definitely check them out. I get it. I found out about Cash Patel stuff on Free Spoke. I looked up, I go on the internet to look for news, and yet Free Spoke, boom, it pops up. Something happened, FBI, whatever. And it's like, oh, I didn't know this, but Free Spoke had it first. I think one thing I said, one of the comments before I get to Joel here. Sal, Mickey McMurphy says, Sal, what do you think about the YT video, what's the YouTube video of an NYPD female in uniform teaching women how to wear a hijab? I'm going to say this. I saw that video. That video, I don't think it's new. I think it was from a year ago. I'm going to be honest. I worked with people, women wearing hijab. This is the video. I work with Muslim police officers. I have Muslim friends. I don't know what the big deal is with this because all they're showing, I mean, the NYPD is pretty diverse, as you know. There's a lot of groups, right? There's the Hispanic Society, there's the Guardian Society, there's the Columbia Association, there's the Emerald Society, there's the I don't know, the Muslims have, I believe it's two or three different different societies. There's nothing wrong with this. No, this isn't bringing Sharia law, and this is why conservatives are going to lose. You're making things about religion. Stop that. Because I'm going to tell you, I know Muslims, and I had one on the show. We'll talk about them with Joel in a minute. They vote Republican, but they don't feel at home because you are labeling them and stigmatizing them as what? They're terrorists? Is that what you're going to say? Is that what you're trying to say? Because I don't see a problem with that. Because the NYPD does the same things for Hispanics, for Italians, for Asians, for the Irish. So they had a little, and it was a community affairs gig. I don't know. This is where you're going to lose voters. Again, I always say this: ad hominem attacks, nobody likes. Go back to 2024 when President Trump was attacking Kamala Harris, saying she wasn't African American and Indian, and he was dropping in the polls. Why? Nobody likes ad hominem attacks. When he stuck to the message and compared their records, which she doesn't even have one, she's atrocious, he won, right? People don't want to hear about ad hominem attacks. I'm sorry. You got to beat people on policies. What do you think happened with Mamdani? You don't think that all the fear-mongering didn't lead to what happened? And now you're seeing that everybody basically they've abandoned, we gotta talk to Mamdani, because they never cared. They were just looking to gaslight you to somehow get their boy. Cuomo would have probably done a little more favors than Mamdani. That's all it was. They were just trying to rearrange the furniture, or, like I say on this show, the musical chairs. That video is old. It's disgraceful that they're even bringing this up a year later and trying to make a big deal over it. Nobody cares in the New York City Police Department. People, what they care about in the New York City Police Department is the leadership, how they treat their police officers. That's what matters, not your race, not your religion. Because, of course, if you're politically connected to the upper echelon, those are the people that get taken care of. That's the problem, not if you're wearing a hijab. Sorry. That's my take on it, Mickey. Chicken Wing says, how is that police work? No, it's actually, I think it's a community affairs. They have a lot of these events, and they're just showing people. So I don't know. I've been to community affairs events where they do things like that. But there's nothing wrong with that. So now, without any further ado, let's have on retired NYPD Lieutenant Joel Ramirez, who's always in the comments. By the way, this is the first time everyone can finally see his face. How are you, Joel?
Hey Sal, what's going on? Hey everybody, what's going on? Hey, so first of all, let's talk about that whole I guess the hijab.
Yes.
Listen, the fir how do we attack NYPD regarding to the hijab when you have the entire, like, you had a terrorist, a known terrorist, to sit in the Oval's office, wear Trump's cologne, had a bounty for his head for $10 million, but Mandani's anti-American because he's Muslim. I'm confused. As an American patriot, as anyone like Eric or any veteran, never had the opportunity to even sit in the Oval Office or even see it. But we let a terrorist that claimed that killed Americans to sit in an office to go to the office is it's mind blowing.
There he
But
is.
that's that's crazy. That's right there. That says enough. All right, and you can take it as is.
Like I said, you and I are very familiar with scenes like what we saw because at these community affairs, first of all, we don't even know where that meeting is because that could be a community like the 6'8" or the 7'2" that has a high population, a density population of Muslims, and they're having an event with them. Well, I don't understand what's wrong with that. These people, they have a problem with everything, and they're trying to make everything about religion. And this is where things will splinter. People don't want to hear about this stuff. Those people are your neighbors, your friends. You have them over for dinner. I don't see the problem with what. And first of all, she's a cop that I would work with, or you would work with, who I have to trust with my life, and they have to trust with mine. But they want to say, well, they wear a hijab. Oh, Sharia law is coming. Listen, London is London. Europe is Europe. Like I've said it over and over again. In this country, there's laws, there's constitution. If you break laws, you're going to have a problem. So if we keep comparing ourselves to overseas, you're going to become overseas eventually because you're wishing this to happen and you keep pushing this agenda. I don't see I have no problem with this happens in every community. If they were in front of the Hispanic community, Joel, they're probably going to have Spanish-speaking officers go up there, and they're gonna, maybe they start salsa. They have a dance with them. That's what we do. That's the community. I don't see the problem with that. I don't. I'm sorry.
All right. Well, Sal, like I said before, so a bombshell allegation just came out
Yeah.
recently about a sergeant that identified or impersonated himself as a field director for ICE. And I think the Daily News just dropped an article in regards to it. He's currently being indicted in Brooklyn Federal Plaza or Brooklyn Federal Courts. So it's that's another development story that's coming up. Um, I'm hearing he just told the family to go to a nice facility for deportation, and it it
Wow.
turned on him, and now he's pretty much seeing the judge and I guess being prosecuted for impersonating a field agent. So look at that story. That's another disgrace. So another hit image for the NYPD. I mean, I pretty much don't want to post names anymore. I'm done with the name posting. It's kind of disgusting. I mean, let's prove everybody innocent until proven guilty, but the job is vice versa. So if you got hit pieces being done, Tina Moore, hit pieces left and right. Um, and I mean, this is her job in the Daily News. I guess she works with the NYPD, and this is where she gets her news. So, I mean, credit for her, but this is this is another way of like just destroying the image of the NYPD. I spoke to you before. I think there's a massive corruption scandal about to implode, and if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I'll take credibility or accountability for it. But there is a lot of detectives coming going to jail soon or being indicted. The PBA the DEA is outsourcing for lawyers. Well, they reached out to other lawyer firms to assist them with the ongoing scandals with detectives about to be indicted. This is this is gonna be another way of like destroying the image of the NYPD. Now, now, how do we get like my everyone asks me like, yo, where's your sources from? It's the NYPD. The NYPD is my source. People are frustrated. They're
Well,
frustrated with the way the job is.
you and I know the culture. That's the difference. Same thing like Eric Sanders knows the culture. John McCarthy knows the culture. Eric Dim knows the culture. Marlon Bethel knows the culture. That's what it is. We know the culture. So we're going to tell you things that, a regular person in here or someone that writes things doesn't understand what's going on, right? here's something too we got to throw in here because Daniel Cazzini is in the chat still. He wrote, so much more issues out there to worry about, like the bill tomorrow by the speaker that were required at the CCRB has access to all body cam, and the NYPD have no choice but to give it to them. That's up for vote tomorrow, folks. So just know that. And to go back to this, this story breaking, it is in the Daily News right now. Here it is too. Council pushing bill to give NYPD watchdogs real-time access to body cam footage. And if you watch this network, we told you that that's what was coming. They really were pushing for this. So that's going to be real-time access to your stuff. So, you know, and they're going to have access to, if you discuss people's medical, all unredacted names, you have documents, they're going to have that all before they get a chance to redact it, because they were redacting things. So I think redacted would take in like 18 days or something like that. Now they're trying to get it in like 18 seconds. So, and it's not going to be redacted. So the victims, and they're going to have all their information in the CCRB, which is not a place you really want to have your information with. So I really hope that gets shot down. But you have a progressive like city council, so I can't imagine that not getting shut down. I think it's going to pass because you got a bunch of radicals, you know.
I'm sorry, I don't want to cut you off. Let me comment to Patrick real quick. Hey, Patrick, real quick. So I see that you put limited lawyers, or I'm assuming that's what you're saying. Well, the conflict part is, I guess all these detectives are working under one. I guess they're all being investigated for the same thing, and they're all pointing at each other. And I guess the DEA can't, I guess, support them or have the same lawyers fight the same battles. This is all alleged. This is what I'm hearing. I mean, my source is pretty accurate in this. For Marlon, this is not dropping now. I think this is all going to come out when Mandani gets into office. This is going to be the black eye that he's going to receive, anti-police, anti-image look that they're trying to portray. Those, that's how I'm looking at it. And if I was gambling, I'll gamble on that because it's the easiest way how to hurt another mayor's image. It's quick and positive. This is the quick way. You know, you turn the NYPD against him, and then you get the city behind the NYPD, and then it just becomes a ripple effect of just people going against the mayor.
Yeah, I see these comments are good too. That Hard X Core saying used to be time scandals made the news, careers were ruined. It's just a normal weekday news story. No one loses their jobs. I think that's true. He also says the DA can only support you if your name is Monroe. I mean, he you know, the head of the DA was on the Finest Unfiltered like one time, and he bounced in like 10 minutes, but he hasn't been back ever since. He's never answered the questions about Marlon, what happened with Marlon Bethel's case. He needs to say something, because again, he's in the paper, and again, he's already bending the knee to Mamdani. Meanwhile, he called the guy a terrorist too, or whatever. He was saying he's not good and all that stuff. And he backed Eric Adams, his union. So I could see where all this hostilities being with the city. And again,
you can tell. And Patrick can call Monroe right now and tell him to show up to the podcast right now and call me out on it. To call me out on it that this is not true. That the outsource to another law firm regarding costs about detectives about to be indicted. To call me out on it right now. This he'll probably just stay in his corner and wait this out.
I'll tell you this. That story you said it is in the Daily News. It dropped like 5 minutes ago. NYPD sergeant accused of posing as ICE agent ordering family report to immigration facility. Said Sergeant Adakul Islam, 29, joined the NYPD in 2018, became a sergeant in 2023, was indicted in Brooklyn federal court. The details in the one-paragraph indictment are slim. Alleges Islam, who also goes by the name James W. Anderson, claimed to be the New York field office director for ICE when he contacted the victim on March 29th. He demanded the victim and victim's family report to an ICE location in New York City by April 15th, according to the indictment. The indictment offers no details of how Islam knew or came into contact with the victim through a court filing. Says the alleged crime took place in Queens. That's amazing. Islam is assigned to NYPD's Public Service Area 3, which covers city housing developments in and around Bushwick. Officials with the SBA declined comment Tuesday. Prosecutors are not expected to oppose his release on bond, a law enforcement source said. His lawyer, John Arlia, declined comment. So that did happen. That is the story right now. You had it before. You were mentioning it. I can't believe that's going on. I really can't. But again, I don't know. They shouldn't be. Why? I don't know. Why even do that? Because remember, we know that they will impersonating federal officer is not a good thing, a federal agent. And on the flip side, I think you're not allowed to cooperate with ICE. I'm sure the police department's going to be asking a ton of questions because this is where they could really make their mark. This is really dumb to do. Why don't do it? Even I don't know if you think this is a joke. I don't think it's not funny. You can't play around with people's lives like this, So you were right, as usual. Folks, Joel is right about a lot of things, by the way. He's even gotten into online spats with a former disgraced chief of department who got wheeled into WABC maybe yesterday. I don't know. He somehow was there. But one of the things we were going to discuss today was this article in the Daily News the other day. NYPD boss gets lucrative disability pension rank and file cops often have to fight for. And there is a picture of the esteemed Mark Stewart, the deputy commissioner or former deputy commissioner of community affairs and very good friends and a frequenter of Con Sofrito. He's friends of Jimmy Rodriguez. So he's in a protected class, as you know. This was written by Graham Raymond and Rocco Parascandolo. So I get into a little bit so you guys get a little background on all this. Mark Stewart, the recently retired deputy commissioner for community affairs, has been awarded a lucrative 3/4 disability pension. Daily News has learned following a similarly generous benefit bestowed on departed chief of department John Schell. Stewart, who previously retired as a detective in 2004, rejoined the department as a civilian in February 2022 at the start of the Adams administration, and then retired again on October 8th and was approved for the mostly tax-free accident disability pension worth $18,241.16 a month, or $218,893.92 a year. The city police pension fund confirmed November 3rd. Stewart earned $275,577 salary in fiscal 2025. It is rare for a civilian to receive such a benefit from the fund. 3 pension lawyers who spoke with the Daily News said a public records request submitted by the News to the pension fund for statistics on pension approvals was pending as of publication. So what is your initial thoughts on that, Joel? Because I believe you had to put in for 3/4. You didn't get this kind of treatment. This guy wasn't even, and here's more of a backstory. I understand because someone I know commented on this and said that Mark Stewart, when he originally left the police department, he then worked for the DA's office. And I believe it's documented he had some kind of a heart condition. But then how do you allow this how is he working with a heart condition as deputy commissioner and he puts in for the heart bill apparently? How do you allow that if you're in New York City? Because you can't do that, Joel.
No. So I actually went 3/4. It took me, my incident happened in 2022. I broke a ring finger into like 5 different places, and I believe I destroyed my PIP joint where I had to get it reconstructed. I had 2 surgeries. Now, for those who are going through the process or are going through that whole procedure, this is a lengthy procedure. First you go sick, then you go if you get surgery, you have to come back, see the district surgeon, and then after that, if they see it ain't working, they're gonna put you on restricted duty. Now, some people can go restricted duty prior to their surgery, and that extends the whole it shortens up the time. But the restricted duty part is almost a year long, and then you have to get surveyed. When you get surveyed, it takes almost 3 to 4 months. Um, After 3 to 4 months, you go in front of the medical board, and the medical board clears you after scrutinizing all your paperwork, your X-rays, and all type of documents that you bring up. And then you have to wait for the pension board. The pension board takes up to 10 to 12 months, and then you receive a phone call and tells you, "Hey, you're done." It takes you about 2.5 years. 2.5 years, a good 3 years. It's in that bubble. Now, okay. He could be a 90s. He probably had these he probably had something before during the 9/11 incident. So I'm not gonna count that out. But you retired in 2024, you retired in 2004, you come back in 2022, and now you're retiring with almost 3 times your pension. That I don't know how that's even possible, but whatever. This is the city. No one else is gonna do anything. Pretty much, they're gonna let this just fade away or go away, and that's it. Pretty much, something else new will come about. But there's cops out there that like he is a civilian and went 3 quarters on an injury. I mean,
From me.
administratively,
Yeah.
administratively. Now there's cops that fell down the stairs. Um, Cops that get injured administratively wise. There's even cops out there that get hurt wearing a gun belt, right? Can't wear a gun belt no more. And
We have
should
Joel.
they
We
put?
we have Ilby. Remember Ilby? You work with him.
Yeah,
Ilby,
yeah,
I catch you. He 3 times. He's a
yeah,
military veteran. Everything. Three
yeah,
times he put in for. He's had multiple surgeries. 3 times he's been denied by the board. Three
yeah.
times.
And I mean, to I don't I we don't have Shell's diagnosis on his ankle injury. Well, it could be an ankle sprain or ankle. I don't know what it is. It ain't a broken foot because he was running around
He's on.
terrain.
He's on. This guy's on WABC. Would he get wheeled in yesterday? I mean, come on. It's like laughable to think this. I mean, you
He's
know,
parading around. He's parading around the city the whole entire time while he's in restricted duty, or he's put in for 3 quarters. Now, but he's walking, he's driving, he's being who he is. He's conducting his official duty, like his official business, and but he still gets 3 quarter. That if that's not corruption or scandal itself, that is a problem. That is the biggest problem. I mean, we knew he wasn't going to stay. Everybody knew he wasn't going to
no,
stay.
we knew he was going to leave.
Uh,
I
yeah,
had it pegged. Everything that happened, I said it. But this, they're going to get to Shell in 2 seconds. But here, Reed in the comments says, Sal, I heard that the city hall lawyers approved it as they honored a former MOS who also came back and got 3 quarters. But is it an MO? But here's the thing: MOS that comes back. I don't know if they come back with their official titles. He's a civilian. He's a civilian. He's coming back as a deputy commissioner, and it's 20 years later almost. It's just that doesn't look good for the rank and file people that really have injuries. And then and this happened, I believe. His heart condition came about at the DA's office, so it's a state issue, not an NYPD issue. But yet now, the New York City taxpayers are going to be paying for this forever. Meanwhile, he already had a pension. So, and Special Agent says you have to sustain the injury causing the disability while on duty. This clearly didn't happen with the people featured in the Daily News article. That's what I agree. And I'll get a little bit more into this because it mentions Shell. Shell's special pension also followed an unusual path. He retired October 8th on the same type of disability pension worth $295,919.64 annually. He told the News his pension was based on an ankle injury he suffered on Randall's Island while working a migrant operation in July 2024. The system is the system, he told the News in an interview October 24th. But the pension lawyer said in a process that is largely cloaked from public view, a mere patrol cop with the same injury as Shell claimed could well face initial denial and years of litigation. The pension board routinely contests all these types of injuries, Goldberg said. He's the lawyer. And I'll get to the next one. But so with Shell, you were talking about it. What do you have to say about that? Because clearly, I think they have a case in that we could mention Ilby 3 times being denied. He has a serious injury that he's not going to be able to get over for the rest of his life. They denied him 3 times. This guy just shows up. Oh, ankle injury 2024. By 2025, he's got 3/4.
I mean, it's basically telling the cops, it's basically telling the uniformed members of the service to test the system. Test the system. If Shell can go 3/4 off for an ankle injury, and we do not have, I mean, whatever, it's HIPAA, whatever you want to call it. We don't know the diagnosis of his injuries, but we know it's not broken. We know he was still working the whole entire time. If any cop sprains his ankle and puts him for 3/4 and gets denied, what is the difference? What would be the difference? What would be the difference? What? I'm surprised. And yeah, a heart bill is heart bill is different, and heart bills get treated different. Um, because of the stress of the job, the whole 9 yards. And yeah, that's it. 3/4 can be given for heart bills because there's a couple of people out there that I know that had the heart bill that just got 3/4. Um,
But they were
and
police. It happened.
yes, while they were in the uniform, while they were working, even if they were off duty, but it doesn't matter. But while being a uniform member of the service.
Yeah, this one is documented evidence of he went to the DA's office. He worked there, and this is where this happened. So, if this was something that happened during his police career prior, he would have had to put in for it before he retired in 05 or 06, whatever the year was he retired. Pat Donahue says here, my understanding is that to get 3/4, the injury must occur while on duty, taking action specific to the duties of a police officer. Said injury must prohibit the MOS from specific duties of a PO, which is what we're saying is that his injury, the heart bill, no one's contesting if he has this heart issue or not. And it's, I'm sorry to even hear things like that. The problem is that this happened after he left the police department, only to come back to the police department, and then the police department's paying for it, meaning that New York City taxpayers are, when really it's a state issue. So, that sounds a little like there's something going on with this pension board, right?
Right.
This article continues, and there's one other person it mentions. In a third case, the news has also learned that the sitting probation commissioner, Juanita Holmes, a former NYPD chief, has applied for the 3/4 disability pension. 3 city government sources said Holmes filed her retirement papers on October 30th with an effective date of November 28th, NYPD records show. Holmes, the source said, was in Somos the weekend of November 9th, attempting to lobby aides to Mayor-elect Mamdani to be reappointed despite a bumpy tenure at the agency. Her rep did not reply to Daily News inquiries. It was unclear what she was citing as qualifying her from the disability pension. By definition, disability for pension purposes, it is a condition incurred on the job that impedes the employee in some way from performing all the tasks required. I want to also add that she's infamous for having Cardi B at the police academy, with her record. But of course, Juanita, as you know, and I've showed on the show before, loves dancing with the self-admitted criminal mob associate, Jimmy Rodriguez, and she was up at Con Sofrito shaking her rear end on video. And I guess she went to Somos to go hang out with him and all their cronies together. So what do you say to that? Because she technically left the job once before, came back, and then left to go to probation, to be the probationary commissioner. So I guess her time, isn't it on leave from the police department? Because how do you do 2 jobs? That one is another one that's like,
I really don't know. I really don't have the substance on like any. I didn't get anything regards to her, but I mean, listen, it's a hustle now. I guess if you're a chief, this is the way out. This is the way to maximize your pension because if you look at your pension, especially tier 2, um, tier 3 has a different view of how 3/4 work. But in tier 2, you when you get your 3/4, right? You get your 3/4 on your last 12 months of your salary. So for some lieutenants from cops or sergeant, they pray and hope that they can make as much overtime administratively to at least pack their pension for that 3/4 date. Now, with tier two, we have overages and we have like ITHP and 50/50. Now, this also gets added on to your 3/4. Now, for I believe Shell, and that's where I think Shell is making his bulk of his money. I was surprised when I heard 30 because I was like, "There's no way this guy can make 30." But when it's 25, it sounds somewhat accurate because I he should probably have close to $8 to $1 million of overage in his pension. And if you break it down, that probably brings them up monthly payments. It should be like 6,000 or $8,000. And that's where you see the big number. Now, if Holmes does it, she probably does the same thing. She probably has the same situation. Now, there's other rumors out there, and there's better rumors coming out. I mean, there's rumors is that hey, uh, your favorite, Kaz Daughtry, he's coming out soon. Kaz Daughtry's I believe doesn't have enough time on the books to
Mm-mm.
retire coming January. So he has to retire with enough with I think 17 years on the job, or he has to come back to the job. Well, there's a rumor out there that this man is putting in for 3/4 also. Now, I don't know how this is. I don't know how this is about or how this is going, but there's ways that we have to start looking into how these guys are just packing in their pensions and just walking away.
But Kaz Daughtry, right? He's got 17 years on the books, right? Because remember, his time should be frozen because he was a civilian. So with that time being frozen, he probably doesn't have enough time on the books other than if he was cooking the books to retire in January. So if he's putting in, again, 3/4, he was not working for the police department. He was on leave from the police department. So again, this is going to come up again because look at what you had to go through. Look at what Ilby's going through. Look at what a lot of people in here in the chat have done. They had to get 3/4, had to go through hell. They get it handed to them in a couple of minutes. You know, that's what this looks like. But if he's getting 3/4, there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be calling around saying, "How is this even happening?" Because him in particular, has anyone seen Kaz Daughtry, by the way, in the last couple of weeks? I haven't. So, you
No.
know, and this thing, this continues because it says here in this article, the cases of Shell and Stewart are also notable because they appear to have received their special pensions relatively quickly compared to the most arduous process rank and file cops often have to endure, according to the pension lawyers. They had a great quote here. There's no way these people are entitled to 3/4 pension, especially when they routinely deny police officers the same type of pension who were actually seriously injured while doing actual law enforcement, said Tim McKinney, another lawyer specializing in police and fire pension litigation. And it goes on to mention how Stewart left in 2006. He went to go work for the Manhattan DA's office. He came back as a deputy commissioner, and out of nowhere, and it says they try on October 8th, after nearly 4 years, he retires with a disability pension, the basis of which is not entirely clear. He did not reply to a request for comment, and officials with the NYPD and the pension fund would not disclose it. And that's all you need to know, because it goes on, and they ask a lawyer, and the lawyer's baffled by what just happened here with everything, and how I believe the board itself. It's shrouded in mystery because it says how the cases, they don't tell you how you don't know the process behind the scenes. They don't let anything become public, even though the pension board, this is public. It's taxpayer funds that go in there, and yet no one's ever been held accountable for any of this stuff. This whole 3/4 thing. And the fact that you're now mentioning mentioning Kaz Daughtry coming up with 3/4, that is egregious. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, but I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Shell received it. Shell did it. I mean, who can? Let's look back. Who? If you look at the history of those two guys, Cass, and I'm not siding with Cass Daughtry, but Cass Daughtry has done more work than Shell. In the last 4 years, he paraded himself up a ladder. He took down a Palestinian flag like it was Mount Rush, like it was some type of like,
Tariq Shepard and them,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, Timothy Shepard, like, and they were wearing battle rattle helmets and come on, but
Oh,
if I was Cass, I would do the same because it seems like the city is giving it out freely to them when you have officers out there that really receive real injuries that has taken up to 2 to 3 years of scrutiny just to receive it. And I mean, in a year, it's record breaking. I mean, I don't know how fast can anyone receive it.
these two things here is troubling. Hard X Court said rumor is Kaz was issued a waiver to continue accumulating time while on MELD. Never happened before. That I've heard that, but again, it can't be. If you look at his status, he was in MELD technically, and Pat Donahue is saying it's my understanding that Kaz was paying DEA dues while assigned to MELD. If true, how was that authorized? So there's something. I mean, everything's going to be revealed. But if he's putting him for 3/4, that throws it all in a spin tank. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
but here it goes again, Sal. Like we're gonna bring it to light. We all bringing it to light. We're all frustrated, and then what's gonna happen?
That's what you got to hope for. Maybe
Yeah, what's gonna happen? I mean, we have listen. We can go back to John Shell. Hey, he killed someone. He literally killed someone. Right? A fleeting, a fleeting suspect he killed. There's no grand juries, no
no
documents.
no
And
document.
I am all over it right now. I am looking for it. There's nothing.
There are
There's
no.
nothing.
Believe Mr. Gurria, who was the special prosecutor at that time in the Brooklyn DA's office, who later on had to leave because he was deemed a creep, and then worked for the As administration very briefly, where again sexual harassment came in. He was in charge of that, and like I said, that we cannot find the grand jury minutes
Yeah.
on the John Shell incident. So was he ever cleared for that is the question, because then later on he went to his civil trial. Well, the city paid out $2.5 million in 2009, I believe, for his shooting. And as you know, prior to that, we didn't know, but he had been caught up in the IRS scandal. Like he wasn't, he was a basketball coach apparently, and not putting that down on his taxes. So he cheated on his taxes. He should have got busted for that. Later on, he goes on to kill someone. So he's progressing upwards with more borderline criminal stuff that you're like, okay, how is this guy always falling forward? Always falling forward. Always
And now,
falling
and,
forward.
and now he's a police expert pundit.
And the city, by the way, has funded the whole thing.
Yeah, and now he's a pundit. Now he's a
And
pundit on newscasts,
he was
on
also
Newsmax.
deemed not credible in court, which is him and Kaz Daughtry cannot testify in a case yet. They made it all the way, all the way to the top.
I
That's
mean, it's a blessing. It's a blessing. I mean, if anyone had the same opportunity, I think they'll take it. So I'm not even mad at him, but I'm just saying like he literally destroyed this department.
yeah.
He literally destroyed this department. And until the department itself acknowledge what he had done, things will change. Because right now we still have the same connection to this man in the department that is still ruining the department. Like people are not leaving this job because of Mandani. People are leaving this job because of the heavy hand, the heavy fist that's coming down. The new 30 is gone. It's 60 days plus now. They're taking 60 days from the guys.
Soccer mom.
Scrutinize everything. I mean, we can look at the abuse these cops are taking. Let's say overtime. Yeah, some people do like overtime, some don't. I mean, I was a big overtime guy. Um, there's a lot of people out there that's big overtime guys, but you have young cops and the Gen Z group of kids that I pretty much know. They don't care about this. They don't care about work. There
Yeah.
are in the corporate world, if you really get technical in the corporate world, these kids are 2 years and out. They will go to a job, do 2 years, and then jump into another job. Here, I mean, it seems like some of them don't care. And I mean, if you keep beating on them, they're just gonna leave.
Yeah.
They're
This,
just gonna leave.
this, you know, there's a misconception out there that police officers are leaving the NYPD in droves because Mamdani got elected mayor. And I've said this over and over again. I have never heard any police officer, whatever rank they are, come over to me and say, I'm retiring, Sal, because of the mayor. No, this is what you usually hear. Number one, when they retire, it's my numbers are good, meaning their retirement numbers, they know going out the door, how much they're going to make. So they leave on a certain date. The other one is, I can't take anymore this abuse. The abuse meaning what? They're working long hours. They can't get a day off. They request a transfer. They can't get that. All their avenues of having a life or having any kind, like any semblance of a life out of the job, off the job, it doesn't exist. So what do they do next? I'm going to go somewhere where they either A, appreciate me, B, I don't need this, or C, I just want to do something else. I can't take this kind of stress. There's also supervisors that come down on you, whether it's a commanding officer, whether it's some lieutenant, whether it's some sergeant, and people just they break. That is more common than Mamdani was just elected. It's over for me. But that's not what John Katz and company were telling you. They're leaving
No,
because of him. That's what
no.
you heard.
But if they really want to know the answer from the rank and file, even some captains, they're more scared. Like they rather deal with a guy in the streets with a firearm than deal with the administrative part, the
Mm-hmm.
administrative danger within the job. Um, as a man, as a man, I'd rather deal with a perp with a firearm that's capable of killing me, but only hurting me. The job is not only killing you, but they're killing your family. Like they're attacking every structure of your household. That probably leads to a divorce. That probably
Yep.
leads to just a down spiral. This is exactly what the job does. And I'm not here to bad talk about the job, so I don't care what anybody says. But this is actually the real problem. When you have cops that are scared to deal with internal than out there, that is a problem. That is the problem because is people will talk. This video will probably go whatever everywhere, but they're gonna tell you that I was out there. I was a worker. I 100% worker. I was ripping guns off of people, and if people are gonna say whatever they want, they can say it because of what happened during my era in the detective bureau.
Yeah,
But
we'll get to that.
yeah, we'll get to that.
We'll get to
But
that. But this, with all of this, somebody here said, because Pat Donahue said it best. MOS are retiring for three reasons. One, they made ridiculous overtime and maxed out their pension. Two, they are unhappy and invest to go elsewhere. Three, morale is ruined and they service retire, which that is what's going on, folks. Like that's
right.
the truth. It's not Mamdani. Trust
Right.
me.
Listen,
If I
for anyone to have the mindset to deal with a perp with a gun than dealing with the administrative aspect of this job, it just tells you psychological. We're legitimately fucked. Like if you want to look at it, like we're not in the same. We're a bunch of head cases now because we're willing to risk our life not only for the people, for the community, for your partner, but the job is willing to decapitate you and drag your body around through the whole system. Like this is a different animal. And that's what people are not seeing. If
don't
you're in
know.
the public, if you're in the public eye, you don't see that because cops are. And you can go to different views or different political views where they're saying, we're pro cop, we're anti cop. But at the end of the day, policing is a different animal. We're pawns to politicians. We're only good when we do good things, and we're bad when we do bad things. And it's quick to turn on us. And there's another thing, and I tell people all the time, I says, when do we allow other people how to do our jobs, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like policing, it's it's a real job. It's probably the best job I have ever done in my life. Um, I love this job. I will never, I won't tell people to not become a police officer, but I would definitely tell people not to join the NYPD. And it's because what
I'm
they're
with you.
yeah.
I'm
I
with
mean,
you.
and I'm pro cop 100%. I love cops. It's just a different animal. And if you're ready for that sight game to put you through the ringer, like I saw cops depressed, like, and just hanging in. And if they kill themselves, the job would be like, well, we try to give them help. And,
It's
you know,
I agree with you. I don't think people should take this. If you're really serious, I would not go to the New York State Police Department. There's so many other agencies across this country. Next door, you have Suffolk County, Nassau County. You go upstate, White Plains too. Even though they have their own issues, but this place is so political now that it's you're a victim of it. I'm a victim. When they play politics, they want to make it land on you. It's used as a sword and then a shield. So it's a sword when they want and a shield when they also want. And that's not right. You can't have it both ways. You can only have it one way. Port Authority, Mickey McMurphy, you're right. Port Authority, that's another great job. You don't have to deal with all this nonsense that they do in the New York City Police Department, And it's just to take like and it just takes one misstep and your life is over. Everything you earn means nothing. Everything you've done is nothing.
well, look what Port Authority does for their guys. They do overtime and they do, I think, more than 16 hours. They give them a hotel to stay at in the city, so they don't have to drive home, right?
Mm-hmm.
They don't have to drive home, so they give them a hotel to stay at, so they can stay, to rest. But as an NYPD cop, you can do 20 hours and you have to drive home, and God forbid, you eat the side of a rail, or just you fall asleep behind the wheel. God knows, and then you have to come back the next day, and no one cares. It's just what it is, right? I think last year we had a guy that, a cop that just worked, I don't know how many hours of overtime, but died somewhere near Bear Mountain Bridge. He
Mm-hmm.
crashed his car.
I
I
remember that.
mean, this is it's sad, but I mean, this is what we're looking at. This is the job is internal. No one really cares if it's outside. But when you s- when the public becomes affected, that's when people start looking inside. The public haven't been affected yet because, as you can see, crime is down, homicides down, shootings are down. I mean, we can't allegedly hide bodies, so you have to give them the credit that homicides are down and shootings are down. But but I'm not going to question their numbers because their statistics, those numbers are what they're giving us, right? And it's very hard to challenge NYPD in crime numbers because NYPD controls the crime numbers, and that's the problem.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know,
Skewing. Well, they got their own scandals. They had a guy was in transit. He got busted skewing numbers. The 106 precinct was doing it. Each borough has they're skewing numbers because, a bullet, if it hits anything but a human being, is not counted as a shooting. So just so people know, they've been doing that the entire time under Eric Adams. So now what's going to happen is Mom Donnie's going to walk into this setup and crime's going to all of a sudden skyrocket because they're going to start
oh,
telling the truth.
no, it's
So,
gonna implode.
it's the
It's
police
gonna implode.
department's fault, right? The police department's fault on the Mamdani. When no, it's just you guys were trying to make Eric Adams look like a hero when they were lying and scheming, which we're going to get to this wonderful little article right now about Eric Adams' administration. But they were skewing numbers. They were doing all kinds of things. I remember he kept coming out, look, a record of low crime. Everything is nice, and he's out partying to the break of dawn. And then the soccer mom, who again, I can somebody point to me one achievement as police commissioner that makes us some kind of crime fighter? Like she's like the end all be all of law enforcement, or is it Kathy Hochul pushing around the New York Post and people to write articles about it? I don't know. There's something I've seen more articles about Jessica Tisch being some kind of law enforcement like icon, yet She's crushed cops, 60 in a year, maybe terminations galore. Morale is in the toilet. Corruption has flourished. She keeps other people lingering around from, the past little administrations, whether it be Caban or Maddrey. All these other underlings are still around and in their positions as well. She's done nothing. Yet, all you
I can make
hear is
one
that she's great.
connection. I can make one connection with the heavy disciplines. So you had an overtime scandal where whatever the sex to play, the sex, whatever, everyone made a lot of money.
Yeah.
Everyone during that moment made a lot of money. Even myself, everyone. Now, I think the heavy hand is basically correlating to the overtime. Now, basically, all this overtime that was given, she's gonna discipline. She's gonna take so many days. So later on, someone somehow, they're gonna be like, well, the NYPD took back, say 9 million hours of overtime away from the police department and discipline. And then they'll kind of add it back, they'll kind of correlate it to the overtime scandal and be like, well, this is it. We corrected the issue when the issue wasn't lower level. The real issues is senior management level. And as I can tell you this, being complicit and knowing what was being done, you are guilty for everything that's about to just come to light. So it doesn't matter if you were sitting in a chair and sitting in your office and you knew what the hell was going on. The Epps incident, the pay to play, all these scandals that are coming to light, everyone there is involved. And if you are involved, it's easy just to say, hey, just walk away. It's the best thing anyone can do. Just walk away because you're part of the problem.
The extortion ring they had, the nightclub extortion nonsense.
Yeah.
Yeah, Chicken Wing says Tish is heavy-handed. That's true. She is heavy-handed. Hunter has this great one here. NYPD should focus on training officers in firearms. I had a female NYPD not know how to field strip her G19 in the academy in yearly qual. We cleaned our service pistols. If they're not training these cops, that's that's another failure, in training. Well, Matarasso's the chief of the police academy, but she's partying with Jimmy Rodriguez, so she's too busy to do anything about that. Modern Samurai said the only thing Tish did was bring the surveillance state to the department, phones, body cam, GPS, the cars, etc. That she did do, and she's being sued for having a camera right now facing somebody's home for years. It's a surveillance camera. It's unbelievable. It's that's another one. The NYPD, you're going to be facing that another lawsuit. It's like they haven't had more. There's been more lawsuits, I believe, on the Eric Adams administration than any other 4-year term of any other mayor. I don't remember in memory having all these lawsuits, and the fact that Eric Adams himself is involved in it. The mayor is so hard to get in these lawsuits, but yet he was in it. Shout out to Frankie Palaguacci, who, again, we've had on the show. He's a victim. The NYPD did the same thing to him that they did to others with this whole political nonsense for the hair test that's deemed not even credible, not even legal, but, he's still fighting a battle. Shout out to Frankie. Sends us $99.99 to the Sal Greco Show. That's going to be a lot of espressos later on. He says, thank you, Sal and Joel. The truth needs to be told. God bless you. And God bless you, Frankie. We're rooting for you, and anything that comes up in your cases, I'm going to be up in arms over, because I see there's a lot of movement there too. So there's a lot of things going on with Frankie's case. So you should be keeping up to date with what you're seeing, especially online. The FDA is getting involved now. So, the soccer mom could have done the right thing. She knows what's coming, but she still goes and rules against everything. Even though legally, she's going to be wrong.
I'm not going to defend her. I'm not going to defend her on this, but I think she was given a bad hand. I think she got into something she don't know. I think majority of the time she didn't really have control, and now everything's going to fall on her. I mean, but
You don't hear.
She she she's Teflon Don. She's not getting touched. She's a police commissioner. The media doesn't critique her.
Oh
City
no.
council city council members do not critique her. They all fall in line. I mean,
I mean,
if I tell you this, if I was Mandani, I'll keep her because they would never critique the police department.
well, you know what? When you're worth $10 billion, that'll work your
Yeah,
way, right?
you'll
So,
never critique the police department with her there. And it's if I was a politician, that would be my
keep it
first
up.
choice. It's keep her because I would never get critique on policing. Because
Yeah.
when you have to critique policing, you have to critique her. And I don't see that they have the cojones to go after her,
No, they don't
right?
because no, they don't. Nobody has other than
No.
this network. Nobody goes after her. I mean, you have Greg Kelly spewing how great everybody says she is. I don't know who he's talking to, but again, his father is a friend of hers. So what do you think's going on there? Because that's not true. One Police Plaza does not. She is a tyrant, but yet you're going to hear from all the major people, especially those at WABC, that Tish is great. She's wonderful. She's fantastic. I can't point to one major achievement. It's like, what have you done as a police commissioner? I'm still trying to figure this out. It's like I don't know. It's very strange.
If NYPD wants to know how this department is going, do a survey. Have John Jay conduct a survey with the rank and file, right? No names attached. Go in there and just ask and check three boxes, right? How is his job morale from 1 to 10?
Hmm.
How are you being treated from 1 to 10? Are the senior management somewhat, or is there massive nepotism within the job? 1 through 10, and just and this is for a professor and John Jay to, even if there's a study somewhere so you can publish this, this will be it because this will prove that there's a bigger problem within the department than anyone here can see. Nepotism is a real issue, but it's everywhere. So I'm not gonna just say that it's only NYPD. This is in every department, but it's blatantly being done in this department.
Oh yeah.
And when it comes down to discipline action, it's also being done here too. Like we're seeing people getting away with murder, not literally murder, but with stuff that they should be disciplined severely, but getting away with it, and others are just being crucified at other levels.
Yeah. Special Higgins says this, and one day I hope to have her on the show, by the way. She says if Tish were smart, she would have insisted on a commission so that she wouldn't be implicated in any of these scandals. She had the power and influence, but for some reason didn't use it. I actually spoke to Special Hagen about that, like we in the past, about the commission. I thought someone would have a brain here and say, you know what, we need a. She didn't do it either. She didn't do it. She could do it right now. She's never done it. I'm flabbergasted because that's the only way you're going to root everything out. But that would mean, the system is trying to protect itself, which we're about
Yeah.
to get through in a moment. I'm going to prove how the system's about to trying to protect itself because it's all it does. This thing. So we're going to get to this now. If you could put up, I actually posted this myself yesterday because the whole thing came out, as you know, about Tim Pearson, and it's just nonstop. So this is what I had posted. It says this is going to cost New York City taxpayers a fortune. So much blatant corruption with zero accountability, it's sickening. The city is stalling in discovery, which they are doing in my case against the city and many other cases. Eric Adams is a disgrace. And what this is about was this article in the Daily News written by Graham Raymond and Chris Sommerfeld. Top NYPD city officials work to undermine retaliation claims against Tim Pearson. This is in the court documents. And as you know, John Scola is representing a bunch of people that have serious claims with evidence about Tim Pearson and all the shenanigans this guy was pulling. And, I've invited Tim to come on, but I don't think he can legally do it. I'm going to be dead honest with you. So, because he's got a lot of problems, a lot of problems. Yeah, look at that. Eric Sanders in the chat. He says earlier, live from NYPD headquarters, now live from parts unknown. So yeah, he's in the chat. He was in 1PP, by the way, today for the Detective Sanders case. Detective Smith, sorry. Another fiasco created by Jessica Tisch. So this article, I'll get into you because we were talking about it. Top officials at City Hall, and those are court documents, by the way. The court documents are going to put up on the screen regards to this stuff. You could tell John Shell's in there. So top officials at City Hall and NYPD worked to undermine sexual harassment and retaliation accusations made by a female sergeant and 3 other cops against Tim Pearson, one of Mayor Adams' top advisor. Court papers filed Friday allege. This is from, John Scola filed this. After Sergeant Roxanne Ludeman first accused Pearson of sexual harassment and retaliation in 2023, then NYPD Chief of Department Jeffrey Maddrey ordered a subordinate to transfer from a high-profile unit attached to City Hall and tell her to keep her mouth shut, according to records cited in a demand letter from Ludeman's attorney, including the case filings. Then there's more to this. Around the same time, Ludeman's boss, Deputy Chief Matildis Mamarma, was the subject of a call expressing concerns about his mental state made by Adams Chief Counsel Brendan McGuire to the commander of an NYPD unit that counsels cops in crisis, the filing claims. This is crazy stuff. Ludeman, who was part of the specialized City Hall adjacent unit, Adams empowered Pearson the lead, filed suit in March 2024. Mamaro, who was part of the same unit, later filed his own lawsuit, as did 2 other Ludeman colleagues, Lieutenant George Huang and Sergeant Michael Ferrara. All 4 alleged their careers were damaged by Pearson's outsized influence in the NYPD because they backed Ludeman's claims. So before I keep going in this, what do you know about all of this? I'm sure you've kept up with this. All these cases against Pearson. He's a mayoral aide, Joel. He can't tell somehow he's involved in the police department. He's telling, almost, deputy commissioners, he's telling them what to do, chiefs what to do in IEB. How is this happening?
I mean, where's my crumb? That says it all. Where's my piece? Well, for Roxanne, I mean, I feel bad for her anyway, but even for her bosses that were there, and even when I read the article, you can dissect the article saying that, hey, there were other supervisors that didn't even say a word that this was going on, of her being sexually harassed because they were scared. Right? I mean, yeah, I mean, fear within the department is real big. It's very big. Like you scared, like even female now on a job, I think they're very scared to to even say that, hey, I'm being sexually harassed by an executive because they know that their life is ruined. That is like another mindset issue where, hey, you're a victim, but you're still gonna stay as a victim because the fear overcomes you. Now you have Pearson retaliating against them. I think he was a deputy chief, a cap.
Yep.
This is
I know
but because they were saying, hey, this is actually what's happening, and you want to go against it, like, hey, this is what happened. But you know what is the connection that Pearson had to internal affairs and putting hit jobs, because this is what it's called. It's basically hit jobs on other executives and other cops and other uniform members of the service. It's to let you know how many people we don't even know behind the scene how many people got hit jobs done to them. Right? And until people in this department comes to light and say, "Hey, this is what happened to me," and a proper investigation can be done, this will always be hidden.
This part I'm about to read is just the most important part because I've said this. Oh, Sal, you're disgruntled. You have an axe to grind. Okay. The latest filing calls the city to task for failing to turn over relevant text messages and signal chats involving Adams, Pearson, Maddrey, then Deputy Mayor of Public Safety Philip Banks, and Adams' brother, Bernard. Okay? Just so you all understand out there, they're involved in Signal chats, which is Signal is an app. They made a big deal about something I was in years ago that had nothing to do with anything, something with Roger Stone. Here, this thing is literally they coordinate on Signal because those have the self-destruct mechanisms and they could kind of like, you can't get that app, you can't get those messages. So they're on Signal talking about how they're going to destroy people's careers. Okay, Joel, I've said this. John McCarvey said, you guys have an axe to grind. Here it is, right in court filings, that they have these signal chats. It's right there. Look, you can read it right there. Look at this. These are the allegations. These are things that are being thrown at him. This is from Internal Affairs. There's Miguel Iglesias, and another Mr. Wonderful, and all these. Here's Maddrey. You know, this stuff. This is what's going on. In one of the exchanges cited in the new court filing, April 26, 23, email conversation between NYPD Brooklyn North Chief Scott Henderson, you know, the other creep, and Maddrey. Henderson wrote, "I'm assuming you spoke to Pearson, so I'm telling the sergeant to pack her things. She's going back to Queen South." So Maddrey replied, "Yes, send her back and tell her to keep her mouth shut." How do you? What do you say to that, Joel? I mean, this is crazy. These guys are talking like this openly. You know, they're in signal chats discussing how they're going to crush people's careers and God knows what else.
Sal, this is upper level. This is upper level common norm. This is what I call it, common norm. This is it. Let's do a complete umbrella investigation on top executives and see how many times they put a hit on individuals. How many times they retaliated against others. This is just basically saying what we were saying, or what you guys are saying, what you, John, Eric, and everyone else was saying, that retaliation hit jobs are confirmed, and this is real. This is not like just something that's made up, or that you guys are delusional. Listen, I know that hit jobs are done because I was a victim of a hit job. I was a victim of a hit job. And one of the persons in that hit job was one of the persons you just showed. Like, he told me I had to eat this. Like, that's how far it gets to.
Yeah, you got to eat this. Yeah, this is.
I have to eat this.
This gets crazier. There's other text messages. As for McGuire, the filing allegedly suggested the Deputy Inspector Mark Waxer, commander of the NYPD Employment Assistant Unit in April 23, that Mamara had a psychiatric issue. Oh, here we go with the unlicensed psychologist. City Hall has a concern about a member of service, McGuire allegedly said in a message to Wachter. Wachter then spoke with Mamara, who assured him he was fine, the filing states. This is that is retaliatory, though. And these guys are openly talking about this stuff. They won't even give you the text messages. They're trying to shield this stuff because in Discovery, this is the game they play. I mean, I could tell you that. I know firsthand. I'm sure now you're learning that in your own case. This is wild. Reading this stuff, these text messages, the way they're talking to each other. Mamara is still an executive, but marked because of this lawsuit. I'm sure that So this was something, and I had that document. I don't know if you want to put it up again, Jack, because I just don't like this lawsuit, this case against Pearson. It shows you this pattern of abuse. See, like right here, look what it says. Chief Mamara stated that had a conversation with Inspector Wachter. That was it right there. Told him that Tim Pearson is retaliating against him. Once receiving information, his alleged Inspector Wachter did not make a notification to the Department EEO division as mandated. I mean, like, this is what goes on. So when people think, blah, 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 how do you move forward when you have executives doing this kind of stuff? And then they talk to each other and they're shielding this kind of stuff. This is wild. This story is wild with Pearson. I don't know what your thoughts are on this. This is nuts. And this, I think, shows a pattern, Joel. Every case that they either A, make political, or B, have some kind of involvement with these upper echelon people, it's the same thing over and over and over again.
Same thing.
Yeah. Eric Sanders said, I filed another case against former Chief of Department Jeffrey Maddrey and his boy, former Chief of Internal Affairs Miguel Iglesias, today, along with outgoing Mayor Eric L. Adams. So that's fresh off the presses, folks. Another case against the wonderful. Eric Dim said they try to make Joel the fall guy. These cowards always find the fall guy. So we said enough about the Pearson stuff. even though, you could read the article, the whole thing. I just read some excerpts out of it. But so, Joel, what happened in your case? Because you have your own lawsuit.
Yeah.
You got and it involves certain people as well. So
Right.
why don't you get a little bit
So
into explain it?
so let me tell you, I came onto this job in '06. I worked under Corey Pegues in PSA 2. So
Hmm.
shout out to Corey Pegues. Um I also worked in PSA 9 and I worked under Iglesia. So this is where the connection comes from with me
Oh,
and Iglesia. He was my CO. And just fast forward, I worked under after that I got promoted, went to transit. From transit I went to back to housing to PSA 5, and then from PSA 5 I went to Detective Bureau. Anyway, as I got there, I believe so. First of all, let me just give credit to those guys, to Detective Bureau guys. So I have never met a bunch of guys that are dedicated to this job, especially the detectives in all ranks and all level of detectives. So from first grade to third graders, even cops that were there, they were, to me, those are probably some of the best cops that I ever worked with. They knew their job, they knew how to hunt, they knew what to do. Now there's a lot of other issues out there that executives made them do that should be that
hmm.
they should have been held responsible, but this is the job for you. These guys will never get in trouble. You'll leave it to the detectives to get slaughtered, and this is how it goes. Um, so when I got there to the detective bureau, I believe it was sometimes 2022. There's already a scandal of I guess there was some type of like a gun flaking scandal going on. And I think it put the detectives, it kind of put them all in-house modified, like they were all in-house modified. So why I'm going to say this because it leads to my incident later on. Now, during my time there from 2022 to 2023, when this incident kind of like implodes, these individuals were just in the house working, just dropping fives cases, just working on a normal basis, but they couldn't go outside because the DA was conducting an investigation. Rumors is that they dropped the cases. Rumors is that it was political. People made phone calls to let this go because I believe there was like 65 gun collars that were DP, something of such. Well, and now we're going into the Izu weekend where I go there that Friday with my team. I'm actually, and if you look at Shell left a nice comment um on my on my feed. He's like, "Ain't you the lieutenant?" Blah blah blah, and that you claimed that you was leaving notes. Yes, I was leaving notes. The computer shows that I was leaving notes on five. I was leaving fives in the cases when this is starting to develop on a Friday event. Now that Friday, I believe we got in around 12 o'clock. My guys went out and they went down to the Izu. They whatever, they were preparing themselves. I was still at the base getting ready, and I came down with another detective. I'm not going to speak of no one lower than a captain. So I'll because they're still on the job, and I pretty much like those guys. But even some of the guys that even fucked me over, I'm gonna leave it as that because it is what it is,
Hmm.
and we'll go forward. Um, so
By the
I
way,
get there.
just to let you know, Corey Pegues is in the chat. She said, "My guy Sal." That's Corey. Corey's in here,
Yeah,
by the way. Corey's corner. Shout out to you,
yeah,
Corey. I know you and Joel, you know each other. So
yeah. PSA 2, 2006, 2007. Um, he was my CO. And fast forward, that day I get there. When I get there, everyone has a cup. Everyone. So all my guys have clear cups, red cups. But not only my guys, I go to the THV. They have people at the THV in uniform with cups. So whatever. It's something that I'm just overseeing. Like so, but there's executives there, right? There's executives. You have Inspector Hanny from the 2-5. He was there.
Hmm.
Couple of captains that I don't remember their names, but they were all there. They all had cups or some type of beverage in their hands. Now,
Ah.
when they go when we go to the ease to the staging area, where this is a staging area anyway, the THV staging area. When we go to the venue where it's like the VIP section, um, my guys are up there. I woke up later on as shown as camera. My guys they already have cups in their hands as I saw them prior to that, right? And prior to the whole thing, I looked at the video. Yes, they made me look at the video. But prior to the whole thing, there was a liquor bottle that one of the guys finished drinking, and he puts it in a book bag and takes it away. And he goes and purchases another one. So by the time he comes back, I'm already gone. Well, these guys are all drinking. These guys are all drinking, right? So allegedly, I failed to supervise because my guys are drinking, right? But okay, I failed to acknowledge that my guys are drinking, but none of the executives failed to acknowledge that too.
Who were drinking
I,
themselves.
the assuming that they were drinking or not, it's still that they all had the same type of cups in
Yeah.
the THV. But the thing is that they didn't have no cameras over there, and now they're just saying, oh, they were
Oh.
only drinking here. So I'm like, no,
Ah.
that drinking. If you look carefully, these guys walked in with cups. So where do you think they walked in from? So if you're gonna assume that these guys were all drinking, then everybody in the THV knows these guys are drinking. So let's just play it as is. So they told me no, they can't prove that. Whatever. The next day, I'm in the house. Um, we worked long. I think my guys had I think 18 arrests or something. It was something of a teen amount of arrests. Now, the reason why we're there because of ODs. In the previous year, young kids were just taking numerous amount of ecstasies and all types of drugs and just dying in the Easel event. So the next day, I kind of call it a chill day. I'm like, guys, we're not going out. We're all staying in. Catch up to your fives, blah, 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 and we're just moving forward. Um, a sergeant a sergeant comes and speaks to my other sergeant. A sergeant from that's at the detail speaks to my sergeant and inquires for these three detectives to go out with him. Now these three detectives do go out with him, and then these three detectives are also accused later on um of stealing some type of bottles, right? Some Jay-Z name brand bottle, right?
Uh,
So they go back. I don't know nothing of this. I'm already by the time this is all coming to light, I'm already gone. I'm already on my way home, right? So the accusation of these guys stealing a bottle, I'm already on my way home. Um, I'm actually back in somewhere upstate New York having dinner, and these guys are actually just ringing my phone. So the first person that calls me was Inspector Furiello, now Assistant Chief Furiello. Congratulations to him because he does watch you. He said, we know
ah.
he watches you.
Yeah.
So congratulations on your promotion. You thought you was never gonna get it, but I guess you got it. Yes, Ace of Spade. Thanks, Eric. Um, um, Inspector Furiello is also known as Pistol Pete. If you know Pistol Pete, go look it up. 2018 or 2017, there's a Daily News article in regards to him, and then there's numerous articles after that.
That's the good
Now,
Pistol Pete because there's another Pistol Pete that's a felon hanging out with Jimmy Rodriguez. So let's not confuse.
yeah. That's the good Pistol Pete. Pistol Pete was
Hangs
known
out with
for his
hangs
like,
out with all the cabans and all the crooked NYPD guys that hung
yeah,
around the Conso Frito.
yeah, and a big fat Joe dude.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
so Pistol Pete is very known for he wants guns, guns. This is his MO. He's a gun guy. While I was there, he was a big gun guy. His guys, like there was a bunch of detectives out there, like ripping guns left and right. I'm not taking nothing away. Like these detectives, sergeants, there was another sergeant that went back to gun violence that was a stud at policing. Like This guy can see a gun from a mile away. I kind of mirror this man, and kudos to him. I won't say his name. Mirrored them on the way he did things because I kind of took some of it and started using it for my own. But guns. Now, the same person that was working for Pistol Pete was this guy named Deputy Inspector Campbell. Deputy Inspector Campbell, if you look at 2018, he should be also there attached to this man in 2018. Now, in 2018, there was a gun scandal in the 5-2, I believe, where whatever, people are being flaked for guns. Simple as that. I get there, people are being accused of being flaked for guns. The DA drops the case. There's no documents on the DA case because people been looking for it, and now no one knows where the hell this case is at, right? Well, I'm not surprised, but whatever. Pistol Pete calls me around 8 o'clock, and he's asking me, "Hey, where am I doing?" I'm saying, I'm already upstate. I'm just trying to get things like just about to have dinner, and he starts asking me about the three guys' whereabouts. Right? And I'm like, no, they were with this other sergeant. This sergeant, the other sergeant that I'm actually calling that I'm saying is also attached to Chief Kenny, the chief of detective. At that moment,
Ah,
this Chief Kenny was the 2-star. Now I'm like, I'm not there. I'm on my way upstate, and he's like, oh, okay. So then he stops calling me. Around 10 o'clock, he gives me a buzz again, and he goes, hey, Joel, FYI, three of your guys just got caught stealing. And I'm like, okay. Um, but I'm not working. He's like, okay. He's like, I told him, hey, go call the sergeant, because the my sergeant knew about those guys being with the other sergeant. So he calls the other sergeant. The other sergeant ends up calling me and tries to tell me what the hell is going on. I'm like, all right. I mean, I can't say nothing. I'm not there. I have no parts in this. So then he calls me back, and then he gives me the whole rundown of the exactly story, blah 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 blah, what they did and what happened. And he says, Pistol Pete tells me avoid calling them because IEB is going to take the case. This is around midnight 30, something like that. Fast forward, I come back the next day. I come back that Tuesday to the office, and my guys are all there. And I blow up. I basically go, "What the fuck is going on? Why I'm hearing that these guys, why I'm hearing that these guys actually stole something?" Blah 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 blah. And then I kind of go to my office. All three of the individuals come to my office and basically saying, they don't tell me actual that they stole something, but they say that they did tell the sergeant that they was with, that they actually got into an incident with the security, that they got caught with stolen bottles. I'm like, all right, so then what happened? He said he was going to take care of it. So that sergeant took care of it after speaking to an executive staff. The executive staff, as we know, are these individuals. Now let's go a little bit forward. So after that, I kind of seen the whole mood in the bureau kind of change on me, on where I was working at in narcotics. So I kind of been pushed to the side. My guys, they pushed me to the side, told me, Joel, you can't go outside no more. And they told everybody else that were involved in the incident that they can go out, make collars, and make overtime. So understand that the guys that were involved in the incident, involved in stealing, were told to go back outside and go back to work.
so I was
But
going to recap this real quick. I think some people in the comments are getting lost. Your guys went out. You're out doing regular stuff, but you signed out. You went home. Now, three of your guys got picked up by a sergeant that represents Chief Kenny and that crew. Instead
right.
of going out with your sergeant, that's part of your group, they then get caught up in that. They're coming back to you saying they had an incident in a store or something where they stole a bottle of alcohol. But again, they were under the supervision of this sergeant that was working for Kenny, not your sergeant. So, of course, you don't catch wind of this until the next day. And obviously, Pistol Pete's your direct boss. He doesn't understand what's going on because this is very confusing. Three of your guys were with another sergeant
Okay.
that they probably shouldn't have been with.
Yeah. So let's be clear. So in narcotics, there's things when we go out on operations, we go to other teams, right? Other supervisors will go to other teams and be like, "Hey, I need your individuals. Let me get 5 guys because I'm gonna go do a buy and bust, or I need 5 guys, or I need 3 guys to do, drive a P van." Like there's just more of allocating personnels,
Okay.
right? So at that detail, they needed more people. That sergeant requested the 3 detectives to go with them. Those 3 detectives go. Those 3 detectives are seen on camera hanging out with that sergeant,
Mm.
right? On camera, right? At the same place, at the same location where they actually stole. At the same place. The sergeant walks away within an hour. I believe within an hour, these guys actually steal from that location. Now, they steal from a vendor. That vendor chases them and confronts them. After confronting them, they retrieve the bottle. One of the officers, one of the officers goes, um, "Hey, let me." Oh, one of the officers go, "Hey, we don't need your bottle. We have our own alcohol bottle." So whatever, in a knapsack, in a book bag. So the after that, they go back to the base. After the base, after the base meaning where we are at, where I'm not there, and the sergeant that falls under me is not there either. He also went home. So assume everyone that worked with us that day, that was in there Saturday, went home already. These 3 kids committed a crime, and they were assigned. They wasn't assigned, but they fell under the sergeant because he went and asked for them. After that. After that, these guys went back to the base and they waited. One of the detectives felt that it was wrong that what happened, and he went back to the 2-5 precinct, to talk to the sergeant and say, "Hey, this is what happened. We was accused of stealing a bottle, A, B, and C." And the sergeant tells him, "Don't worry about it. We're gonna take care of it. Don't worry about it. Go home." That detective goes back and goes home. So now, how does what did we find out here? Internal affairs was never called. Now this happens around the actual crime happens around like 7:30 in that area there. I don't really remember the time exact. Um, if cops are allegedly accused of committing a crime, what are the first thing the job does?
Yeah, you gotta call
Get the
internal.
duty captain involved?
You gotta go up the chain before you get to IUB.
Yeah,
The duty
the-
captain, the
yeah.
CO, obviously.
Yeah, like it's a whole chain. So
Yeah.
IEB never comes. Now, if there's these guys are accused of stealing bottles. These guys were sent home. Why they were accused? Why were they sent home? That's different story. That comes back with Campbell later. But they were sent home. IEB never shows up for a crime that were committed by cops. Now there it's automatic. If anyone that worked in internal affairs if there's a crime committed by cops, you have to show up.
Yeah.
Someone has to show up. You have to conduct your investigation right there, instantly. You have to hold those cops. Those cops are not going nowhere. Well, those cops were sent home. Those cops were sent home because Deputy Inspector Campbell told them to go home. He told them to go home, but not only he told them to go home, he said, "Yo, listen, change your clothes. Don't stay home because you might have the cops coming knocking on your door later." So he's basically telling these guys to avoid the cops to come from their house because they're probably gonna get GO'd. Right? Now Campbell later on in the GO says he never did it. He never said that. Okay, kudos. But Campbell also says that he knew about it at 9 o'clock at 2100 hours. At 2100 hours, he knew about the incident that day. I didn't even know until 10:22 hours. So Campbell knew about the incident prior to me. Not only that, but in Campbell's GO, he says this exactly that he spoke to the inspector. He spoke to the inspector and Inspector Furiello and Inspector Henny and asked them if he needed any assistance after the crime was committed. And Henny told him no, that he was going to take care of it. This is about 2,100 hours. This is at 21. IEB doesn't get told about this until the next around, I believe, around 100 hours the next day. So basically, they were fixing up the whole entire story and knew that they couldn't control, it couldn't be contained, and then they had to make their proper notifications. So now it comes to me. Just to be clear, so because it's kind of all over the place, and it is because there's so many parts being played out. When the bottles were stolen, I wasn't working. When the bottle was stolen, my sergeant wasn't working. But I got accused for the bottles being stolen under my watch, and I was responsible for not reporting it to IEB. That was the first accusation. That's how they started the whole thing. That's how they threw me under the bus, and that's how it went forward.
Yeah,
Now,
that's
now it gets better because when I go to the DA's office, because they're trying to destroy my life. Yeah, perfect example. Detective duty captain notified 100% 92. So then they try to destroy my life. So I go to the DA's office where I'm sitting there and they're going back and going through my phone logs. Now, as you spoke before, there's an administrative warrant that this job has.
correct.
I mean, it's ridiculous. They are they basically attached me to a crime and then they went, right? I wasn't working. Guys, I wasn't working. I wasn't there. I had no parts in it. But they found a way to attach me to the crime, saying that I covered up the crime. And they told the DA that I was covering it up. The DA went through my phone logs, right? And she says, I remember because Eric was there and we were going through the phone log and she was like, who's this person? I said, this time I called this person, at this time I called this person. Who called you? This person called me. He says, when did you start making phone calls? After midnight, I started making phone calls to my CO, my captain, and everybody there, right? And I was like, hey, this is what Inspector for. So understand that Inspector Furiello is telling me, and I'm now making notifications to my captain because my captain's home also. So he doesn't even know what the hell is going on. Now, I'm in the DA's office, they're giving me the rundown. But then they asked me about the sergeant that was there with them. And I'm like, okay, they asked him like who did he call? I'm like, I don't know who he called. But they also had his phone logs. Now, just to fast forward why this guy is so protected, because when I go to trial, I ask for his phone logs and they're nowhere to be found. They told me it's irrelevant. Basically, it's irrelevant. It's not needed in the case that you're dealing with. But I'm actually accused of being part of a cover up where the phone logs of this other, because that phone logs is going to show every inspector, every executive, senior management involved in this case. So fast forward, now we're going to keep going. IEB interviews me, but prior to me getting modified, well, I got modified within a month and a half later after the incident. But then Chief Barrera basically leaves the job. No walkout. If you know who Chief Barrera was, he was the chief of IAB, right? Um. Oh yeah. So yeah, basically, yeah. So well,
He was
like
a
I said
chief.
before,
He was a chief before Iglesias.
he was the chief of he was
Yeah.
chief prior to Iglesia. Now he was told to put his papers in and leave due to my case.
Oh,
Due to my case. Ask around. Where's his walkout? This is the chief of IAB. Never had a walkout. Just disappear
hey,
instantly. Now,
we had a recent chief also not have a
yeah,
walkout. So.
same way, right? Same way. So this chief, well, they kind of, I think Sewell kind of attacked this chief because they're like, why did IAB never showed up to a crime committed by cops? And then we start finding out that my executives called internal affairs and told them that they were going to take care of it. And then when it got out of control, that's when they notified internal affairs, but it was already too late. So the detectives were allowed to go home that day. That day, those detectives should have been arrested, right? They should have been arrested for stealing the bottle, allegedly stealing the bottle. They all took a plea except one of them. One of them took a violation and one of them took a violation and recorded, had a recording device recording the other twos in a small talk that the job took and used it as ammunition against those two. So understand about the ratness. This is a real rat job here. One of the
Wow.
detectives that was involved in stealing the bottles recorded two other detectives about the crime that was committed and used the recording to prosecute the two detectives in court later on, that IEB later on took possession of. This current detective is still currently working. He got demoted, whatever. Whatever to that, because it's great. It gets better. Now, I,
Is this an expensive battle that they're making a big deal over? Is it like
Well, it's just kind of stupid because I try to explain to them, like, guys, I had no parts in this, but now, but what they did, they had no connection of me part of the crime. They had nothing. So the job pretty much wanted to hold me responsible for something. So they go back to the Friday event and be like, hey, Joel, you're responsible for your guys drinking. And I'm like, well, I didn't know my guys was drinking. I never saw alcohol. Everybody there is fucking drinking. From executive down, from executive down, my guys are drinking. And I'm like, and I mean, not my executive, there's executive on patrol in uniform. I said, so if everyone is drinking, that means patrol from a DI down is drinking. I'm like, how the fuck is that fall on me? And then they accuse me of drinking. Because that's what Tina Moore put in her article, that sources says that the lieutenant was also drinking. Shout out to Tina Moore. Um, when it comes to like, never had a drink, didn't even know they were fucking drinking, but whatever. Let's just move forward from there. Now, this is where Iglesia comes from. This is where Iglesia comes. So Iglesia takes the position. I'm already there. And so I run into Iglesia one day and I tell Iglesia, I say, Miguel, yo, I'm being railroaded. Just FYI that when we went to the DA's office, she actually said that you're being railroaded. And she says, thank God that you have your attorney that's going to probably defend you in this case because they're trying to railroad you. You have no connections in the theft. You wasn't even there, but they found a way to put you involved and they're trying to put you as the fall guy. No executive, no management, no one got in trouble for these guys stealing the bottle. Just understand that. No one. Everyone that got in trouble was the previous day. Now you had the sergeant that was there, he got what? He got a bullshit 30-day hit. He got a bullshit 30-day hit for not reporting it. I think he's currently a lieutenant now on the job, well protected. Um, whatever. So I run into Iglesia at a function and I say, Iglesia, I'm being railroaded. Like, what's up? Like, you know who I am. And he says, you have to take this. You have to eat this. I'm like, what do you mean I gotta eat this? I'm not eating this. This is like I'm not eating this. I have nothing to do with this. He goes, you're it. And we part ways. So I already had Iglesia telling me that they turned on me. Now the department is literally turning on me. Now I remember going to the trial room and I remember my attorney, Eric Sanders, goes and speaks to the advocate's office where they're like like I don't know what the hell is wrong with them, but they're relentless to just find me wrong on something. And Eric goes, listen, you have nothing in this case. And they basically go up to him and tell him, hey, this is political. This has nothing to do with your client. And I'm like, it's my whole life. You're affecting my whole life. Just prior to that, I passed the captain exam. I think I had like I think I was number 56 something. I don't know, 56 on the captain exam, whatever. Um, The
wow.
NYPD didn't put it out as a list, but then I go to the chief, and then next thing you know, I'm on the list. And now I have NYPD calling me saying that, yo, you're on the captain's list, but you're modified, so we're waiting for you to promote you. This is it's just a big mess going around. It's a lot of things going on at one time. Now, I'm gonna circle back to the beginning because I just want to make it clear to everybody. There was a Friday event and a Saturday event. I wasn't the supervisor for the Saturday event. There was another lieutenant there. That lieutenant never got in trouble. That lieutenant is currently promoted to a captain. Now,
Nice. Nice.
yeah, the Friday event, I was there My guys got accused of drinking. I had no knowledge of it, as it's proven. My guys went on the trial room, in the trial room, and said that they never told me that they were drinking, and that they didn't want to tell me because the lieutenant would have probably disciplined all of us, right? And it probably made the proper notifications. He says it in the trial room. Um, so at the end, the investigation started because of the guy stealing the bottles, and they accused me of covering it up. Now, how does Kenny come in part? Now, I walked into to because Furiello wanted to find out what the hell was going on, and I was walking into it, and that's when Kenny Furiello was on the phone with Kenny, and he was saying that Kenny basically said that Joel has to be the fall guy for this whole entire incident. Now, basically, the lieutenant is going to take responsibility for the whole entire thing. Now, there's rumors out there basically prior to that saying that they were going to take care of me and put me in the in some number house as a commanding officer regarding to this if I would have just shut up and ate this. I'm not eating this. I'm not eating this. I want no attachments to this, but it's still at the end of the day, I'm still attached to it. So it doesn't really matter. So it's still a lose-lose for me. But in my personal view and my stand, I'm not going to be attached to any crime committed or any misconduct when I had no parts in it. So when I was found guilty in the trial room because they said that I misled in in I was given misleading statements regarding these guys drinking. But I said, how am I supposed to give misleading statements when my guy said on the trial room, it's in the documents. You can go into my 50A, you can read I believe there's the minutes are there, and it says it there. There's a couple of detectives says that the lieutenant had no knowledge that that these guys were drinking. So in the findings of my deposition, the commissioner says, well, the lieutenant, the lieutenant should have known. Like that was his finding, and that's why he found me guilty on on all my charges. Now, I didn't know by knowing or should have known it was actually a real charge, and that's the problem. Now, there's more to it. So, because there goes to another detective that got promoted to a sergeant, and I'm gonna name him because I spoke to him and he told me it was okay. His name is Detective Dumaine. He was Now this is another story. So me and Furiello and Dumaine sits in my office one day. This guy, Detective Dumaine, his family, his wife's family lives in Ukraine. Ukraine kicks off.
Yeah, yeah.
Ukraine is kicking off. This war conflict country. His wife's family lives in Ukraine. He takes his family, the detective, goes with his wife back to Europe and tries to get her family extracted out of Ukraine. This is above my head. I have no control of what's going on. I'm not even supposed to be involved in something like this because this is too much. Anyway, what happens later is that this guy gave me 5 vacation slips or whatever. I don't remember how many. I signed a few. One comes out to be fake, but the detective takes, I think, 9 weeks or 8 weeks, right? In Europe, he's there retrieving his family. Prior to the whole incident, I go to him. I go to Chief Inspector Ferriello and the detectives. I say, hey, we should get the police department, like police assistance or unit, whatever, police assistance unit, to get involved because this is international. This has nothing to do with it. Ferriello says, nah, we're gonna keep it in house. This guy comes back 8 weeks, 9 weeks later, a whole mess comes that this guy was actually stealing time. He was MI, he was AWOL, the whole 9 yards.
Huh.
They try to blame this on me.
Uh,
Ferriello knew his whereabouts. The whole job knew his whereabouts. But when he didn't show up and they wanted to hang somebody, they try to hang him. They then try to hang me because I was his supervisor. And I go, okay, but Ferriello's the one that gave him the green light. It's proven. Like we have it. He says, and Ferriello knew it was week by week basis. Like if there was no changes, it was okay for him to stay out there. Now he gets back. Now there was an article. If you look carefully, there was an article on Sergeant Dumaine that he puts out I think John Scola's representing him, that his house was, they went and kicked down his door. Like they went to kick down his door to find his whereabouts.
Jesus.
Um, yeah, I think the Daily News put out an article on this on Dumaine. They attached Dumaine incident to my incident, right? And then they try to say, hey, they try to make me look incompetent as a supervisor. Now, I have never been accused or ever been incompetent in my entire life. So, but it's the way, it's the narrative of the job. I understand. Let's keep throwing mash. Let's throw as much shit on him so we can bury him, and he has
Yep.
to fight his way out. Now, I was a I was a sergeant in transit. I mean, there's executives that are chiefs right now that will say that, hey, they dealt with me on a one-on-one basis and they gave me a 5 overall. They were my CEOs, they gave me a 5 on my leadership skills, on everything. And if it was involved in leadership skills, you can speak to anyone that knows me. I would never, and this is something the job poorly doesn't have anymore, I can tell you. I mean, we became more of a management system, and leaders are gone. But I would never tell my guy even to stand on a corner without me not standing there with him, dealing even in the brutal cold. Like I dealt with cops that say, "Hey, we're gonna go out," and I'll go out with them as a lieutenant, just as a person, as a human being to them. I'm like, I'm not gonna tell you to do something without me not doing it myself. And if I didn't know on certain aspects of the job, I had to learn the job. Like even when I was responsible for the DV unit, I didn't know what the DV unit it's like responsible for, or even like there's so many things that goes on.
Yeah.
I went and sat in the DV unit with the sergeant, and I went down document by document, paperwork by paperwork, just to know all the functions the DV unit has. And after I learned it and kind of master it, I kind of just let it go. And I spoke to a sergeant, and I can critique my sergeant on his job whenever he did something wrong, right? But that's the way it's supposed to be. Now, some people are gonna say, well, executives don't need to know certain aspects of the job. I don't know. We can't. It's a perfect example, like in the military, right? I was in the Air Force. I was a tactical air control party member. If you look it up right now, that falls on the special ops. I'm considered an operator. I was an operator within the Air Force. You- Everyone in my unit did my job, did exactly my job from leadership down. So when I did something wrong, when I call CAS, meaning close air control, like when I was calling bombs on targets, and I dropped a bomb on something or on a group of a pack, meaning on any individuals that are out there combatives, and I did anything wrong, my guys were able to critique me on the way I conducted myself. I never had issues in the military, never had issues in the department until I ran into these individuals. Now, going back to the narcotics, Chief McGee was the chief that put in his papers. They gave him they crucified him on the Daily News, and then they updated and gave him a farewell letter, like, hey, he was a good, he bit the bullet for the whole entire thing. No, he didn't bite the bullet. He didn't bite the bullet. He was actually part of the whole nonsense, and it all fell back to him, and then he got shipped out. Now, the only thing that I can say about Chief McGee is actually, eh, like I say, I can have you as you can, you're the opposite of me. Like I would never sit down and have a beer with you or drink with you. But Chief McGee is he's a great person, right? He's a great person, great leader. I'm not gonna talk negative about his policing,
But he
but
fell
for
on a
him,
sword.
he fell on the sword. But understand why he fell on the sword. He fell on the sword because he threw me under the bus and he let me hang. When the right thing he should have done is throw Inspector Furiello and Inspector Campbell under the bus, because those guys were involved in the whole cover up of the stealing of the bottles, right? But when he threw me under the bus, Sue Well and Internal Affairs found out that there was more to it, and everyone had it to get shipped out. And that's how this whole thing came to life. So at the end of the day, my scandal was basically I had to fall on the sword for something that I had no parts in. And then when I disagreed, they couldn't link me to that incident. So they found another incident in the same event, in the same the day prior to hang me on. And after they hung me on it, everybody else, the two main culprits got promoted later on. Chief McGee put in his papers, has 5 years of time. He's running it now to 2028. Um, Inspector Henny, that actually was part of the whole cover up, and in one of the phone calls, because internal affairs is supposed to record every phone call that is called into internal affairs, right, into operations. In Inspector Henny's phone call, he goes, "Hey, I'm calling you guys again to give you more updates on regarding to the incident. Let me give you more information on what happened." So I requested the first initial phone call. They don't have it. When does IAB never has the first recording, but they do have the second
They
recording?
always have it. They should
Yeah,
anyway have a record.
yeah,
And
right,
conveniently, they don't
right.
have the record.
So there you go with the whole cover up. Internal affairs never showed up. And if anyone here knows about a crime, if there's a crime, domestic violent crime, IAB is going to show up. IAB might take the collar. That's the way it goes. IAB will show up. IAB was never called for my incident, and I wasn't even there. And then when the incident occurred, and after the incident
Eh,
came to light and everybody knew about it, then they tried to put me in that day when I wasn't even working. I wasn't even there, and they still try to hang me for it. But they went back and hung me for another day prior to it, and then they gave me also charges for Dumain's incident that got dismissed in the trial room because whatever. It's just nonsense that they were just trying to just pack me in with incompetentness, and then the trial room found that I had no involvements in that nonsense also, but they wanted to find me. They wanted to hurt me on this because they needed a fall guy, and I was the fall guy for
well,
this.
all right. And then,
Yeah.
so ultimately, then you're able to ended up retiring on 3/4, even though I guess they hit you. How many days they give you for this?
Oh, it hit me hard, man. They gave me 60 days, man. They gave
60
me
days.
60 days. They gave me 60 days, and then I was on modification for almost 2.5 years. So they knew I was on the captain exam. This is how good these guys are, and this is how conniving they are. They knew I was on the captain exam, right? They knew I was number 56 on the captain exam. They knew how to prolong my case to the end. So when I get promoted, if I would have stood on the job and I would have been on good terms and I would have bent the knee or you know, you know, what the whole 9 yards. At the end of the day, they would have promoted me at the last class of the captain's promotion.
Yeah.
That's what they would have done. That's
You
that's exactly their goal. That's exactly their goal to hurt me and to prolong my whole promotion until the end.
That's great.
And that's my story. I mean,
That's your story, and then now your case is still pending in the court, right? They're playing the discovery game, right? Because that's what they do.
yeah, the
No, this.
discovery game nonsense plays like we're playing with that. I mean, the whole I'm gonna tell you, as as well connected you are, and this is just for lieutenants and sergeants and some captains, because after that you're pretty much very political because you can just get thrown to another section of the department. No one cares for you. You know who you know until they have to turn on you,
Mhm.
and you find out the truth of what people really are. Now, like I tell people all the time, I for my cops and my detectives, I was actually really good to them. I'm still in touch with some detectives, but I really disconnected myself from the job entirely because I'm not part of that job. But anytime there's news about the job, I will talk about it. Um, or somewhat rumors, allegedly garbage that's going around. Now, even what's going on now with our leadership level, that that I believe, and I'm very outspoken about it. And if anyone ever questions me on it too, I don't care who I know. I believe anyone that's 3 star and above should leave the job. Needs to leave the job. You hit your milestone. It's time to go.
I said the same thing. I think I think that Eric Dim says it best. You know, if you're any of these chiefs, they should all leave because of everything that went on. Also, I think Mickey McMurphy, Eric Sanders in the chat, and he said that the valuation of these bottles and everything was $3,000. It was over $3,000. That was
Yeah,
the
yeah.
number. That was
So
the number.
the bottles, I believe the bottles are not even worth that in a regular liquor store, but they were at a venue at Izu, and in Izu venue they like think they like 10 times the price of it,
Yep.
and that's what it was. So and then these guys got arrested for grand larceny and then official misconduct and whatever goes from there. Now
Yep.
the video does show all three of them there. The video does show the one of the detective go over, retrieve the bottle, and then um, like I would never publish that video because it's one of the detectives are still one of the detective that got the motor still works for the department, and I'm not going to destroy his last image because he's still. I mean, a lot of people in the jobs, well, a lot of people in the detective bureau is going to know that this kid's a rat because he recorded everyone else. Um,
That's terrible. This is a
and
wild
that's
story.
and it's that's crazy. But
But that's
he
why
kept his job. But he's kept his job.
he kept his job while you got your head chopped off. I
Yeah.
thought it was important to have you on. You know, people always see in the comments. You got a lot of good sources. You got a lot about a lot of things, but people don't know about that part of what happened to you. So I think it's important that now you're on. Yeah, I want you to if you could be a regular and come back for
Yeah.
all
I have
kinds
no
of
issue.
things. You know,
I have no issues. I have no issues in talking on anything else. Like I tell people now, I do love policing. Policing, I support policing 100%. But the nepotism and people getting away with certain shit is what's the problem,
that's
and it
the
needs to
problem.
be called. And it needs to be called out. And as much as we're not gonna call it out, I'll call it out for you on my bullshit X handle, and or I'll call it out here. Like I have no issues. I really don't care. Like it falls under the First Amendment, freedom of speech. I'm not trying to call anyone a predator or any type of, title them in any way that they'll lose their livelihood. But we can't hide this. This
We
cannot be hidden anymore.
we did have some predators like Scott Henderson that were on the job, though. You know, people like
Yeah,
Maddrey and
well,
Henderson. They were
yeah.
predators.
I mean,
It is what it is. We're not gonna lie about that. I can't throw up a
no,
block.
you
Oh,
you
not a
can't.
predator.
You're
He's a
right,
predator.
but you
That's
see the
Gabby
thing.
Walls.
Sal, the thing is with
That's
you, you
Epps.
you you have more information regards to that than I do. I
Yeah,
didn't
no,
really look into that case. All I know is what you say and what you're telling me, and I haven't looked into it. Now there's things that I put out there that's coming, and I'll be very clear to the audience that are kind of disliking me, and I really don't care. But it's not these. I don't care if it's these like I don't care who it is, but the individuals at the palace. My
yeah.
source. My source is from the palace. So that's on you. So anything that comes out from the palace is on you. It's not me. It's
Hey,
not me. It's coming from
the-
there. Now, what they seeing, they're pretty much scared to not say anything because they scared to lose their position. They're scared to lose their job. They're scared to go through the whole 9 yards of being paraded through the NYPD justice system.
well, the justice
But
system. We've been through. You know what happens there. You know.
no, there's no justice in that system. It's basically a hit job, or you're going there like it's crazy. Like even like the drug testing, as he was saying before, like his how do you take a drug test? How do a drug test comes out positive that's outdated, but a drug test somewhere
Yeah, I
else
know. I know.
it 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 doesn't make sense,
I
but.
wrote articles about. I wrote an article
Yeah,
about it.
But the
Yeah,
but the
it's
job is willing to accept that. The job is willing to like
because
not let that go. Like they're
because
willing to hold their ground because they know the minute they bend the knee to this, how many other cases are coming behind it. So they're pretty much prolong it as
they're
long as
worried.
possible for the people to forget. Now with your case, they're dragging you like I'm all into your case because your case is like the beginning of everything else. Like your case is gonna set the direction that the city's going to start settling with everyone. You were basically, and to be clear, what I know about your case is that because you knew someone and you was in a picture frame and you was accused of doing security but not being paid because you hung out with them and they had nothing else, they fired you.
That is correct.
And this is a political hit job, as we can see. Now the same political figures that put a hit job on you are the same political figures sit in the same table with the same individuals that you was hanging out with. That's it. So you didn't. I mean, I remember when your story came out. I exactly remember when your story came out because it was like you was the January 6th guy. Like this is like they went after you. They tried to destroy you, and then when they found out that you wasn't there, it was pretty funny because I'm like, yo, what are they doing? And like just to be clear, like I tell people all the time, like I stand like in my political, affiliate, like my political views are like independent. Like I stand in the middle. I critique both sides. Like even during the Biden administration, like you had to critique what the hell was going on. Even in the Trump administration, you have to critique what's going on. Like this, we're it's not for the people. It's not for the people. Like if like
And
especially you got hit and you got your strap medal, and now you lost your job. But that image is like you lost your job, and then you have this pundit go online and take shots on you that you lost your like you're fired. Well, you fire
but
at
he can't
that.
be a pundit because he's the chief of department, acting chief of department at that
At
time.
that, yes, at
So
that
that's a
moment he
problem.
was.
That's going to
At
be
the
a
moment,
problem.
yeah. Yeah. So
It-
he took a shot at you. And I
he's going to
mean,
have a problem now. He has a problem. He might not believe it. He wants to hang out with the other phony John Katz, but he's going to have a problem with that because you were the chief of department saying you're fired to me and putting up pictures. And he was still the chief of department all the way when he's saying all these things. Even though, John, you erased it, you doesn't erase it from the record. We have everything. Don't
yeah.
worry, John. You're going to be involved in this. I promise you. So you could go with your bum ankle and, I don't know, you're hopping around or getting wheelchaired around. You're going to answer for that, my friend, because
There was
you
there
can't
was
do that.
there was one more thing. There was an article once before about that a lieutenant was driving his car. It came out like he was trying to like evade the $9 congestion fee. Do you remember something like that? It was just so long ago.
Yeah,
And this sergeant was driving for like signing in Staten Island and whatever, driving the department car. Well, he was approved by his own chief
correct.
to drive that car. But then they skipped him on they never modified him, but you know what they did? What they did to him was this guy, I don't even know him, but I kind of read up on his case.
Adabasi is his name.
Yeah.
Lieutenant
I read up on
Adabasi. Yeah.
I read up on his case, and he has text messages from the chief saying that he was good to do it. And when he goes to the GO, that gets extracted out of the case, and the chief says he never said that. Now, you're hanging this lieutenant over what the chief said over a text message. And now this guy might get promoted at the end. If I was on the job, we both would have got promoted together.
Well, what you're seeing there is the former disgraced chief of department's tactic. He'll tell you one thing. He might
Oh,
even have it written somewhere. But if you get in trouble for anything, and this goes back to him, I didn't tell him anything. 'Cause
yeah,
that's just the way it works.
yeah.
So that's why I don't suggest you take this job.
No,
I
no,
think Port Authority is good. It's so many other jobs to
yeah,
take.
Port Authority, all types of departments are really good. Like, and I tell other lieutenants and supervisors, says the text message is not good enough anymore. I
No,
said text message not good enough anymore. I said, listen, you can be if you send the thing is the culture with this job is about lying, right? We have a culture on this job of just lies. Just know how to
they love it.
lie,
They
right?
want you to lie.
It's a culture of the job, like
It's a
right?
criminal. It's like a criminal organization.
Yeah,
I've said it
it's
for a while.
it's acceptable. Now, would you be wrong? And I tell lieutenants and I tell sergeants, I said, would you be wrong to go email your executive staff and write in the same email exactly what he told you and be like, I just want to make sure we're correct with this and let him reply back. But there's some cower executive staff that won't reply back, that'll view it and be like, I never saw it, and then just exit out. Now, perfect example. Now, I forgot to tell you guys because now I know why they went after this kid. They went after this Detective Dumaine, and so Detective Dumaine actually reported that these guys were drinking. He was the whistleblower of the whole entire Izu scandal and the cover up. That's why this
That's what
all
they went
came up.
after.
So they went after him because he was still away in Europe. But they're like, how do you make these accusations when you're not here? But there was a WhatsApp chat. Now, as every cop in this department, be careful on your WhatsApp chat because when shit hits the fan, they're coming for it. And if you're in it and you have said nothing, you're involved. It doesn't really
Yep.
matter.
That's the way
You
it
can't
is.
run. You can't run from it. Another part with the administrative warrant, not only that this, let me tell you how sneaky and disgusting this job is. This job did administrative warrant on me, and then it did administrative warrant on my daughter's phone that was connected to my phone. So just understand that I had a 12-year-old daughter. I had a 12-year-old daughter being extracted from T-Mobile so the job can look through it because they wanted to see if I was covering up a crime. That is to tell you as the job, as people that works on this job, not only that you shouldn't have a family plan because every number there is liable to be removed with this administrative warrant that's not even real. Um, I have questioned T-Mobile about it numerous of times, like how is this possible? And it was like the warrant is signed by it's not a legit warrant, but it's signed by a commissioner from law enforcement, and they cooperate with law enforcement in different standards. But it's not a warrant. It's not a legitimate warrant for your numbers.
Yeah.
So so not only your phone number, your phone log is being extracted, your kids, your wife, anything is up for scrutiny. So just imagine the department looking through a 12-year-old's phone log. Like I kind of look at that kind of like,
They, they
there's
did
some pedal.
they did
That's
it to me.
nasty.
They did
Yeah.
it to me. They did it to some other people. The administrative subpoena is BS. It shouldn't be used. They have to show cause, meaning your case has to be a C, criminal case, meaning they believe that your case will lead to an indictment of you. Of course, that never happened. You weren't there. You had nothing to do with it. So they misused it once again. This is something that even the soccer mom doesn't have under control. She doesn't have that under control, right? Mrs. I'm in charge. I'm Mrs. Law Enforcement is by far one of the worst people ever to run the police department. She's right up there with Caban and all of them. They're all the same on the Eric Adams. But that administrative subpoena, that's also going to come around in my case as well. There's no mythology. The method to use it is only if you can't even really, you can only use it in a criminal matter. You got to get a criminal, you have to go to court. But every judge would laugh at you. Go, well, you think that what? So in your case, a supervisor that's home who left hours before this happened was involved in this crime from where? From upstate New York? Come on. But that's what they do because they try to justify their criminal acts. And all
Right.
this is all going to come out of, they're all going to
Yeah, I
get
mean,
busted.
it's as simple as that. Even so, I was reading up on it. Even alleging, because there's people now that's dealing with the same issue. Even alleging that you have any type of drug affiliation with anyone, you are attached to it. Like they can pull out. So there's some like I'm not going to talk about this person, like give their personal name, but anyway, when I was in Central Bookings, there
It's
was a
illegal.
cop there. Yeah,
You can't do
allegedly, yeah, they went after this cop, right? And then they pulled his phone logs because someone in his family was dealing drugs, and they had tried to tie it up to him, like some crazy shit like that. And
but
and
that's
he's
illegal.
now.
He's not involved. You have to prove that
Well,
somehow.
the department involves everyone
But you can't
until
make that. But that in a legal case that won't fly. I'm
no, it
sorry.
won't. It wouldn't stick. It wouldn't
No.
stick because I remember I was looking through my case and I saw when IAB was requesting the warrants, they wanted every phone to be dropped. Like they want every information. And I remember the DA saying absolutely not. Like they're not gonna go. This is not like Ramirez is not even involved. Like we cannot drop. Like they wanted a subpoena, like a warrant on my phone, and then but they got so Dumaine comes again. Dumaine sends photo like he takes um copies or he takes pictures of the WhatsApp and he sends it into IEB, right? He sends it to IEB. Now IEB has a group chat of of like, hey, these guys accused of stealing bottles, A, B, C, D. But in that group chat, he also puts all the names in that group chat. Guess whose name is not in that group chat?
You.
Myself. I wasn't in it. But they still found a way how to throw me into this case without me not even being part of it. And then at the end, and let's I go to John Jay. So I do attend John Jay. I'm working on my master's. My I'm working on two more masters anyway. So just fast forward. But I had John Bonoy as one of my professors. Great guy, great professor, great. But there's also issues, right? As a professor, as a professor, great guy. I never met him during the job, never knew of him during the job, never came in contact with him in the job. But I asked him, or basically he always says, I always have receipts for everything I did. And I kind of pushed back on it. I said, you can't have receipts for something that is wrong without not saying anything. I said, so if all these transfers, because the conversation came up with the lap dance girl, with the not the lap dance girl, the pole dance girl, the detective from I believe she's in the 50,
Yep.
whatever the
Another
video.
one of the another alleged consofrito girl. Yes.
Right. So I kind of did my own research on her. She left the department and then she came back. I think she left the department to go down to Florida and then she came back and then this came to light. So understand this that this is why I kind of look at this job very shady. This officer was in the 50 as a cop. She leaves the job, goes to another department down south. She becomes a dancer on a pole, the whole 9 yards. I don't know if she gets her body done. I don't know that, but I know she comes back and she's a brand new girl. She's a brand new girl. She joins back the department in July. She's transferred to the detective special victim in November. So while she was on patrol, she was a nobody. She comes back, she looks like a soda bottle. She gets transferred
She had the
to
eye.
DV.
She had the eye of a certain police commissioner too.
Oh, what I doubt. But then I'm not a fool. I went and started inquiring what type of person she was. No one knew she was there. No one, everybody was surprised that she got there. She had no knowledge of what she was doing there, but she got promoted there, got transferred, and then now, I mean, if that video, I think that video was done while she wasn't on the job, and then they come in after, and that's why they transferred her to the 50. The right thing the job did is by moving her. She should have been moved 100% because I like understand like you're in special victims. You show up to a horrific case or a horrific crime, and I can Google who you are and see
Yeah.
that you're a pole dancer prior to that. Like they did the right thing by her and protect her from that image, but
Still.
the nepotism
Cronyism.
for this for that young lady to get into the special victim is what's the problem. And no one wants to say it. No one wants to say it. Everyone wants to be. You have guys out there that has 100 like gun grips, like gun collars, or foot soldiers are out there working in crime that deserve to get a specialist shield and can't even get one.
I don't
That
get one.
deserve
I know.
second grade. Like those detectives that I was talking about that I don't care if they don't like me or not. Um, I'm not gonna talk negative about their job. They did real great work. Those guys deserve second grades because they were ripping guns left and right. They are real workers. And before we cut off, I wanted to speak about one thing. The death of the two officers in the 3-2, I think it was Ramos and Mora.
Yeah.
Um, I was there for that day when me and the tech, like we was all there. At that moment, I came back to work after the first surgery on my hand, right? I had a cast. Now, there were some PSA 6 cops there, and I always wanted to like, I did this whole entire 49. I tried to give these guys all metal, and it was completely turned down. I don't know by who, but they completely ripped it up. And I wanted to make it clear that I acknowledge those guys from the PSA 6. Now, why I'm going to say why I acknowledge them, because that day of the incident, those guys are the first car to show up when those cops are killed, right?
Hmm.
We have a cop, we have two cops that killed or were killed. We have a cop that killed the suspect. We had a numerous of cops that showed up to the scene in our fallen brother's blood and never been acknowledged. Never been acknowledged, and that is disgusting. They never been acknowledged. It was traumatizing to all of us, but especially those guys that are the ones that carry those officers out and put them in the car and drove them down the block into Harlem Hospital, and no one cared about those guys. And I'm here, and I don't even remember their names, but I do remember the incident. I do remember the whole thing. I acknowledge you guys, and I kudos to you guys. Like 100% props. You did what you were supposed to do for your fallen brothers. And I understand sometimes acknowledgement is not needed, but acknowledgement were needed that day because we are all dealing with the trauma of that day. If you was there, you knew how it felt, and it was disgusting.
I remember. I was, I believe, it happened in 2021, right? 2022, one of those years that happened.
Yeah,
I was there.
yeah.
I was there for that too. And of course, when I showed up, I don't want to reveal any names where I was working, but they said, "Why did you go there? They expect numbers tonight." Just so you know. So that was, you know,
Yeah,
that's
no.
NYPD's the greatest job on earth. Joel, I mean, we had a long chat here. I think it was important to hear your story. You know,
Yeah.
I think that it's important that people hear finally from you. You've always been in the chat. You know, you're a good friend. You're also welcome. Always come back because I'm sure there's going to be a lot more coming forward. Any last words, and where could people follow you?
You can follow me. I'm the famous Lieutenant Douchebag on X. You can find me there. Um, as you can tell, like I said before, my gripes is like I'm gonna change certain things, but I like my gripes is only against the executive staff. Like I like those guys, and it's certain parts because not only let's be clear, there's some real great leaders in the department that are coming up, and I'm not gonna give their names because I don't know if I can influence them being targeted later on. So I'd rather not say names, but I can tell you there's some studs going up in Brooklyn North. Even there's a stud in Brooklyn North somewhere. He's a chief, he's a stud. I mean, I'm gonna give one name, and I'm gonna say because he's one of my professors now, and I don't like I pretty much told him I was gonna say his name, but Assistant Commissioner Foster from Community Affairs spoke very highly of you. Anyway, he's a great professor. Um,
Shout
I
out to you.
shout out, great man. Kudos to him. He's a great professor. Also, not only that he's a great professor, but if you ever see him in any event, he's boots on the ground. This is a commissioner, boots on the ground, man. Can't take that away. That's a leader, boots on the ground, man. If you got
Unlike
boots on
Kaz,
the ground,
unlike Kaz
well,
Dodry.
no, I mean,
Uh,
yeah.
just saying.
But like I said, thank you so much, and thank you for having me on the show. Um, the audience and everyone else, then whoever's gonna dissect this video later on, and you felt offended, well, I'm sorry. Get over it.
Don't worry
You
about it.
get
I'm
offended.
offended. People take offense to me. And I mean, listen, Pat Donahue has been in here. We've gone back and forth. I told him he's a huge supporter of the show. Even if he says something bad and whatever, a guest gets upset, I go keep talking. Like I'm never going to shut anyone down.
Yeah,
We
I
have
actually
one guy.
like.
There is
Go
one
ahead.
guy in here though. You know him. He's the jester. He's a low information guy. I question why he's in every single show 24/7. I don't know if he works, but I believe I've tracked down exactly who this person is, but I don't want to give idea way, because it could also be a group of them, but it seems to be somebody who is in a high prolific unit in the police department. So don't
What's
want
the
to give out
chat?
his name, but
What's the name? What's the name on the chat?
I think you know it. It's even bringing up his name is it's like a cardinal sin to me, because he's
Is
so
is it is it is it Juju?
man, it could be
Yeah.
that name, but that's the person that we've tracked this down. Well, I have anyway. He doesn't. I don't know. These people think like I'm going to put it to you like this. You know, people in the White House and on online have tried to block the one and only Roger Stone from knowing what's going on. You're never going to do that. And Nick could do this. You could say the same about me when it comes to this stuff. You could try to block me, but I'll find you. I'll find out what I need to know. It's just the way I've always been, which is why I was in the police department. They didn't want to use my talents the way they should have been used, because you have to be part of the little go to, where was it? Salty Dog, get hammered, drive drunk, almost run someone over. They'll reward you. Do your job. Just go home. Don't want to be a part of any cliques. Go after them. That's the NYPD. I can't say it any better, you know.
Yeah.
And you know, because you did the same thing. You got in trouble for going home.
For the ranks of our listen, there's for the lieutenants that's coming up. I mean, lieutenants that's there now. There's a captain exam coming up. I mean, hopefully you guys step up and take the next promotion. Some guys out there are the future of this department, and hopefully you can change the department in certain ways. Even a little step matters a lot. And for cops, for all my cops that were real cops on patrol, I can tell you right now, when I was a supervisor as a sergeant and as a lieutenant in my unit, everyone passed. Everyone passed the promotional exam. I made it a priority to make sure my guys pass their exams. From the transit district, they're all becoming lieutenants now, to now from housing, they're all becoming sergeant. They're all sergeants and becoming sergeants. They're all, I think, below the 2050 mark. Some of them were the first three classes. This is exactly what I promote of leadership. I mean, just take bits of bits and just keep pushing it forward. Try to change the job just a little to keep cops
Try it.
happy. Just to keep them happy. I just want cops. You got to stay. You got to keep them happy, and that's it. But it's a different animal. I understand. I understand the whole politic aspect of it now. When I stand outside and look in, and it's different, and it's kind of, it sucks because at any moment, anybody here can be at the crosshair of what this department wants,
Yeah,
or they want to hold you responsible for something, and that's
exactly.
pretty much it, man. But I appreciate it. Thank you so
No,
much.
thank you, Joe. We'll be in touch soon, and thanks for coming on and sharing your story. Which again, some of you think, look, when I have someone on, you got to let them. You got to hear everything. You can't just cut people off. That's not how this works. When people are speaking, you have to let them speak, especially his story, which is very unique because this guy went through hell, 2.5 years of being modified. He can't, A, be promoted or be retired, all because he drove home and a bunch of guys decided to do a bunch of corrupt things. And then there's all kinds of mishigas behind them, and he's getting blamed for everything. Whereas nobody wants, again, there's no accountability because, Joe belongs to Chief John. Jack belongs to Chief Bob. So, and again, this is what you deal with in this job. People think it's not true. There's a prime example of it. It's not just about, what happened to me in my case. There's many others that have cases just like mine, just like Joel's. Just, there's today, Detective Smith's case, Epps' case. You have Gabby Walls, and the list could go on and on with all these people. Yet, there's many, you get someone from the New York Post, they write a hit piece, they politically, attach things to you, and then you all pass judgments on people, and then they can never get a job again. And that's what I'm facing. It's very hard to get past what I'm doing because you're stigmatized for life. The stigma will always be you are whatever it was, uncompensated security, whatever nonsense they said that's not true. It's always true to them when they look you up. It's controversy. It could go either way, too. Before I go to a producer's take, 1804 Banks, $4.99 to the Sal Greco Show. More espresso. Says, have you seen last night with the NYPD getting involved with WWE at MSG? I actually watched that, so I don't know if you know what they do. Those officers are not real officers. The ones that are involved, you could tell, take a really close look, they don't have a gun. So they're wrestlers, and they just make them put the uniform on to get involved. The real cops, if you see, they're in the back, and you'll see them behind the guardrails or near the entrances and exits when they leave the ramp, when they go out in and out from the ring. And they were also in the crowd. You saw some of them in the background when Jay and Jimmy Uso were coming down from the stands. You saw the real cops there. So those are like paid details. Shout out to those guys doing the paid detail MSG. I remember a few years ago, Mr. James Dolan, the owner of the Rangers, they don't pay the paid detail guys on time. There was a lot of stories with that. I think they got that resolved. But if I remember correctly, paid detail, they didn't get paid on time for doing the work there. So MSG, all those jobs that you'd see on the portal for paid detail, they were always open because they knew that Dolan, for all his money, pay you guys on time, man. I know 1804 Bank says, yeah, I was about to say. Patrick Donnie, you're hysterical. Chief Bob didn't get caught in the meatpacking district eating a free scoop of ice cream while debriefing an unregistered informant. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff like that that's happened over time, but that's how it works. You know, you got to be connected. So let's bring on Jack. I know you had a long one listening to, but you didn't even know about that story. I did, but
no,
I think it's Joel speaking about everything from top to bottom. So that whole electric, they called it the electric zoo incident, and John Shell, who now is now the civilian John Shell, but he's limping around. He's online. He was attacking Joel for writing about something in regards to the chief of the department and his alleged relationship with the soccer mom, and he interfered and he started going after him. He called him a drunk, I think. Shell, you should be the last guy talking about drinking or anything to do with, stuff like that. So, but he attacked him. So, I'm just saying it's good to know the whole story because now you know what really happened because it's something that people kind of forgot about. But they use the same things, administrative subpoenas, all this mess. So it's like, what really is Mamdani walking into? Because something's got to give here. If it keeps going like this, Jack, it's...
Yeah, I'll bring up Mamdani in a second because there is a new, interesting, funny development with him. But Driver's Seat asked the question, is Maddrey still working? No, Maddrey is not working with the NYPD. He's not in law enforcement, but he is pursuing a legal license. He does hope to become a lawyer. Very quiet on that front over the past couple of months, although I have heard rumors that he moved to Georgia and is beginning a new life there where he's trying to become a practicing attorney. If any details become evident over the next couple of months, I think that this platform needs to lobby against that because you should not be able to go to a new state as a disgraced law enforcement professional who abused public funds and help other people in their legal proceedings. It's absolutely a terrible idea. And it's doubly disgusting and sad that all of these people are weaponizing their positions of power against subordinates, because in the law enforcement vocation, you have to be very careful and targeted and meticulous in terms of how you come after people, because you don't want to seem like you're violently threatening them. I mean, you do carry around a gun and pepper spray, taser, the whole 9 yards. So you have to be very discreet and quiet about it. And it's truly disgusting how the NYPD head honchos have managed their business in that regard.
I think, though, he's actually a lawyer still in New York.
Okay.
He didn't get disbarred yet, but of course, what you're leaving out is that little grand jury going on in Manhattan right now in regards to Maddrey. So I don't know how long he'll be an attorney. So if he's trying to do it in Georgia, that'd be news to me because Johnny Q-Law, the long arm, will still get you no matter where you are. So I mean, he knows what he did. He knows what's coming.
It's like messing with the Gambino family, right? Like if you mess with them, they always know where you are located. They can always find you. It literally is like messing with the mafia. I had someone say that to me recently. They would rather mess with the mafia before they mess with the NYPD. That was kind of funny. And they said that as they were relocating to another part of the tri-state area. So I think that makes it doubly relevant. But anyway, yeah. Mamdani, speaking of the man of the hour, Zohran Mamdani, right after winning the mayoral election, said, hey guys, I'm going to need an extra $1 million because I need to build a transition team. I need a little bit more money. I know I promised you guys a lot of things for free, but just financially bankroll me and then maybe we can come through and fulfill some of these promises. But spoiler alert and plot twist, he needs more money.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at this most recent ad, the back end of it.
Incredible. We've raised more than $1 million in just 2 weeks. Our average donation is around $77, and more than 12,000 of you have donated so far, which is much lower than the last administration's transition. But we're still asking for your help because we need to raise $4 million in total. So January 1st can be the day we start to deliver, not start to prepare. I hope very soon not to have to ask you for money. But until then, I'm asking for you to go to transition2025.com and give whatever you can to help build a New York that everyone can afford. This is your city, and I can't wait to get to work.
Oh my!
So at one point in time, Mamdani was going to be delivering on day one. He just needed a little bit of money so he could run his campaign and get into office. Then he needed $1 million. Now we're tripling that amount, and he needs $3 million more to bring the final tally to $4 million. And for some reason, donating money to him has now become a prerequisite to reaping the benefits of any of his policy proposals. Seems pretty immoral and unethical considering that no previous mayors had raised this amount of money for transition funds alone. Also, if you need this much money for the transition, how much are you going to need to actually become mayor? Is this going to become a mayoralty of fundraising events to pay for freebies? I mean, he clearly doesn't know how city government works, does he?
This guy, I told you. I expect him to be fully invested. He's probably, like I said, he went to Trump, and I told you what happened. He knows that he got some illicit funds in his campaign. Those are foreign donations. He's got them like a string. He's got them like this. If he really wants to, Trump could yank the string, and it's over. The DOJ comes pressing like you cannot combat that. Yeah, it looks political, but you know what? Trump doesn't care, as you know. He doesn't care what you think it looks like. He is going to be guilty of accepting foreign donations in his campaign. In fact, Mo, I don't know if you noticed today, but the guy that pled guilty in the Eric Adams case got sentenced today. That's another thing that was breaking. I don't know if you found today. What is Mohammed Bahi? You can look
Mohammed
it up.
Bahi. Yeah, I'm pulling it up right now. I'm pulling it up right now.
So that's another bit of news. If you didn't know, he was the poor guy that basically Eric Adams sent over to this Turkish stuff to go, do the dirty work. He got sentenced 1 year of home confinement. Meanwhile, Eric Adams is the reason this happened. Eric Adams got all. I mean, this is ridiculous. This guy should get pardoned. Give me a break. You put Eric Adams. The guy should guilty as sin of like 1 billion crimes. And this guy has to stay home for a year. Really? While this guy's flying around, now he's the mayor of Israel. Tomorrow he's the mayor of Uzbekistan. The next day he's the mayor of China. Come on, man. This is ridiculous. This is a travesty of justice. This guy should not be getting a year of anything. His whole sentence should have been dismissed the way you did the same thing with Eric. What you did was illegal. And I hope next year at an attempted impeachment trial, this will all come back around like a boomerang. Because, Mr. Trump, you're wrong. I'm sorry. What you did here is wrong. It's corrupt. You didn't get your golf course casino thing. You didn't get your name back on the woman rink. The whole thing blew up in your face. But if there's anyone around you that accepted money or whatever's going on, Bitcoin, you got to fall. Sorry. This is unacceptable. This poor guy's going to languish at home now. Is that Uzbekistan and latest place he's going to?
That was actually from yesterday in Israel. But things are corrupt in both City Hall and Washington when the ringleader behind the entire operation is in another country just living his life, networking, and hunting for his next job, while the subordinates underneath him are sweating their asses off, going into a courtroom in 40-degree weather only to be told that they have to remain in their home in what amounts to solitary confinement for a year because they took all of the blame for Adams's misdeeds. This is absolutely disgusting all the way to the core. And there's no way to inspire confidence in the future when the mayor-elect is now trying to raise $4 million for a transition team, acknowledging that he can't fund the freebies. Oh, and by the way, now he's going to go meet with President Trump to iron some things out and take a different approach when trying to form relationships with other governmental officials. That's the narrative and the spin that they're putting on things, right? Because we're all stupid peasants rather. We can't see what's actually going on. We have to accept everything at face value where President Trump and Mamdani are like clashing horns like bulls fighting in a ring, right? But when it's all said and done, they're going to be whining, dining, and pocket lining at the nicest restaurants in New York City. We can be assured of it.
Yeah, and on top of it, Eric Adams is headed to Uzbekistan. That is a fact. Special Hagen. Adams' next stop is Uzbekistan. He's supposed to be back on Sunday. Folks, you in New York City paid for that trip. What purpose does the mayor of New York City have to go on your dime to go to Uzbekistan and Israel, wherever else he's going to go? Whoever else is trying to put money and stuff money in his pockets. This is disgraceful. This is the biggest. I knew MAGA was in trouble when Eric Adams and Trump were buddying up. You're in trouble. Nobody that buddies up to Eric Adams survives. He's as corrupt as the day is long. And if Trump, wants to really, you want to dirty yourself up getting involved with this guy. I don't know what possessed him other than it's got to be money. I know I explained the casino, which didn't work, and the woman rink. Well, the casino, there's a hearing coming up in a couple of weeks. That might actually happen, which, again, it was because of Eric Adams. So if that part of the deal happens, that's the whole quid pro quo continuing rolling downhill. But this guy, I don't know. I can't. I don't know what this is.
You're literally at a loss of words for Eric Adams, and we understand why, because the headlines write themselves, and they get crazier and crazier and crazier. Folks, we're not here devising our own storylines and theatricizing anything. We're just telling you exactly what's going on. But anyway, speaking of guys who gave out fundamentally and morally sound advice during election season, Bill Ackman has gotten back in the news because he's reaching out to young, romantically frustrated young men saying, if you're having trouble meeting women, go up and ask them, may I meet you? And this dilemma has gotten so crazy that people in the New York City subway devised their own sign, may I meet you, in the words of Bill Ackman. He clearly is out of touch with politics because he's giving people bad advice at the polls and framing a false narrative. Now it seems like he's trying his hand in another arena where he's not knowledgeable at all.
He should go work.
Dating aficionado. Like, you are a billionaire who is pulling all the strings politically as the head of the uniparty, and now you're trying to decide on how we're going to behave socially, customarily speaking. I don't think so. And by the way, his tactics are totally out of touch. I know he existed in a totally different era as a billionaire in the Hamptons who could walk up to any woman that he possibly wanted and said, may I meet you? And they would love to meet him, I'm sure. But for non-billionaires who are existing in the technology era, this is horrible advice. May I meet you? Do you think you would ever try something like this, Sal? Assuming you were single, of course.
Yeah, well, no. I wouldn't take my advice from this guy. I certainly don't need to tell a woman, may I meet you? I'm sorry. He said that about men saying that to women. I don't know what he's trying to do. I don't know what side of the aisle this guy may be playing on. But look, he wanted Cuomo. Now he's on Team Mamdani. I told you this guy's a freak, and you shouldn't listen to him. I don't tell him how to do his hedge funds. He shouldn't tell you who to vote for. And he certainly shouldn't tell you any kind of romantic advice. This is another clown. There's so many of them running around in New York. This guy doesn't even live in New York City. He lives in Connecticut. Apparently, a lot of these people that even run for office, they don't even live in New York. You know, John McCarthy should have ran. He should have said, I live in Florida. I want to be the mayor. Because, heck, the last two mayors don't even live in the city.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Andrew Cuomo is spending more time in the Hamptons and Westchester. He retreated to his most comfortable grounds.
Jack, what do we have tonight for the 10-Foot Tavern?
Yeah, coming up tonight on the 10-4 Tavern, we actually have a very interesting guest, Robert Tufano, will be joining the show. And he was a public information officer for the Charlotte Police Department, also worked in the NYPD as well. And he's kind of a particularly interesting topic of conversation because he comes from my vocational background. He's in tune with how police departments handle crisis communications, something that the NYPD unfortunately has become all too familiar with the recent events that have transpired. And he also understands how to handle press conferences. So he's going to give you a little bit of behind the scenes insight and analysis into how the NYPD is in damage control mode with the current regime, the transition that's taking place. So be sure to tune in to Tom Joyce, Peter Forcelli tonight, live at 19:05 military time. They're going to have a fantastic show for you in store.
Yeah, so shout out to them. Thanks, Jack, for giving your insight on everything. And look, it's been a long one again, but I think Joel, who you all know in the comments, laid out, I mean, I got messages now about from people. They thought that was outstanding to hear because you didn't know, you only heard one side of the story. It was in the paper, like he mentioned, a certain author from the New York Post, you smear people, and that's why I said the same thing. I know a lot of you, some of you liked Winston Faison, some of you don't like Winston Faison, but I know what's happening to him is he's being smeared and maligned. And I'm not going to comment on there's a legal issue coming up tomorrow. Eric Sanders is my attorney and, a very dear friend of mine now. But John Scola also is a friend. And this thing is putting everybody against each other when I think those two do the best taking down the department and exposing everything. But, they're pitted against each other right now. So we'll see what happens on with that ruling tomorrow in regards to the aviation people and Faison. I don't even know Eric Sanders is not representing Faison in those cases, but whatever. I don't like that. I think I'm more. I like John Scola's work on what he's doing. The Pearson case is amazing. I think he's completely shredded the police department. Gabby Wall's case, it's amazing that, he's representing someone who's been much maligned and still working, by the way, with that monster Henderson, who essentially just walked off the job like nothing happened, and Maddrey, and Eric with Epps and Joel and myself and many other cases. So, I never like to see two friends, pitted in the inside of a steel cage, we'll say. But that unfortunately, that's what's going to happen. So we'll see what happens on tomorrow with that. And also tomorrow in the morning, check out the Finest Unfiltered in the morning. I believe John and Eric are going to have Vinny Variano, who's a retired lieutenant now. And just so you know, once again, Vinny Variano was at one time my sergeant in the 6-0. So great guy, fellow Paisan. Check that out. Also Wednesday, check out the Executive Perspective with Ron and Rob. But I believe either Ron or I think Rob is going to be doing a show. I think Ron was saying he's going to take a week off. He has something to do. So, but check that out. That'll be at 505-1705. So that being said, we're going to sign off here from South Florida. Of course, I love ending it with the illustrious mayor of New York City. You can have your little laugh because, you're a dark, sick person out there. So that's it from South Florida. Thank you all for tuning in. Once again, like, share, subscribe, like Rumble on Rumble, and share this out with everybody on X, especially those in the low information bubble. myfreedomcart.com/Sal Greco Show. Shop with people that are pro-law enforcement and care about the rank and file. And Free Spoke, don't forget about that also. You could download that app, Greco35, to get the 35% discount off the subscription, and you could catch up with all the news that is unbiased. And with that, I'm signing off from South Florida, which is a sunny place for shady people. Now, I know you're tired of searching on the web for things and not getting the results you're looking for. I have something for you. Free Spoke. Free Spoke is a search engine that is all about authenticity rather than agendas. Labels, media bias, no intrusions, or data leaking or your data being taken from you. Porn free, none of those ads, unlimited, unbiased AI, deep dive podcast searching, and you can get it by going to freespoke.app.link NYPD.com/Greco. Use the same link to get a 35% discount on your premium subscription. What are you waiting for, folks? This is the way of the future. Free spoke.
What I'm asking New Yorkers for is to look back at all the things I've done as a deputy commissioner for operations, the assistant as assistant commissioner, and my time as a not only as a New Yorker but as a police officer. I get stuff done.
Listen, there was a book that came out that Jasmine Ray wrote, and in the Daily News today, it was stated that there was a sexual action that happened in Borough Hall. She reported in that book, and it wasn't. You're a dark, sick person, man. You know that? You're a dark, sick person. Your name was on the byline. And there's some of you that have been covering me. You guys could part. Let me do this. Y'all could depart. Y'all could depart. Some of you have been recovering me for 3.5 years. Some of you are so sick and dark, and you're the leader of that. You're one of the most dark writers that I've ever seen in this city. And your personal sick vendetta and the sickness of how you think of over-sexualizing a Black man, that in the book is stated that there was a sexual action in Borough Hall. That was never in the book, but that's typical of the sickness and the darkness of your sick mind. You're one of the sickest reporters I know. Go to the next question. You're a sick person.